voice sounds devilish.
You're cosplaying.
I'm cosplaying
You're
with my
cosplaying
vocal voice type things.
An event producer.
Exactly.
Hi.
Exactly.
Hi.
Hi, Shelly. How are you?
Great. It's so exciting.
This is very exciting.
Look where we are.
We're in hell, and we have two amazing hellish guests here with us as well.
Yes.
How's it going, Ed?
Pretty well. It's been great so far.
And Bobby, how are
I
you?
never thought I'd be smiling this much in hell, but here we are.
I know.
Especially
Yeah,
at 8:30 in the morning.
I
know
know
when
it'd
I
be
heard-
so cool.
They don't tell you that in promotional material.
They
so,
really don't.
Yeah.
I really
We're
don't.
kind of underselling it.
So you guys are here from Wormwood, and you're making
Wormwood.
some of these amazing things.
Oh,
that
yes.
you might have
Yeah,
seen
definitely.
on stage at the first sessions of Dungeons & Dragons Live. I keep doing that. It's not Dungeons & Dragons Live. It's just D&D Live.
You're so
2019.
proper.
I'm very proper.
It even says
Right.
Yeah, it says it right there. See, you have,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
have
yes.
it modeled perfectly right
And
there.
Does this also say it?
It does. It's in
An
Infernal.
Infernal script.
Ooh, and want to know
If
something
you can read Infernal.
very cool?
Yeah.
It's actually a sulfur inlay.
Yeah, on that one.
So the inlaid material is actually in universe.
I thought I just had, you
Yeah.
know, some bad gas. But it was actually
Yeah.
No. You do.
Wow.
So you guys work in the shop at Wormwood? What do you guys do? What's your function? I know it, but I'm making sure you tell everybody.
Sure. Yeah. I am one of the co-founders of the company. My partners were Douglas and Ian Costello. Thank you very much. Yeah. Joined after we started back in 2012. Back on Etsy, and at the time I did a little of everything. I didn't really know what I was doing woodworking-wise, full disclosure. I came in with the least background as far as that goes. Doug and Ian are very accomplished, so they guided me on rails, basically.
Yeah,
Bobby, meanwhile?
I came aboard during their first Kickstarter. I went to a tech school. Carpentry was my major, so they actually hired me as a woodworker.
Cool. I love this.
The company was so small that I started it was in their basement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was literally like they lived upstairs, and then there was just a shop downstairs.
Yeah.
Doug, the CEO of the company, and his kids would just come running down naked. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, "Hey,
They
Yeah.
do.
it's a
Don't
great.
tell- yeah,
it was
oh,
a
sure.
great.
Very family.
It was.
Family.
It was a
Sounds
great.
like our
It was a
office.
great. But I ended up moving around so much. At the moment, right now, where I'm at is I'm the creative director for Wormwood. So I'm not in the shop much anymore. I work on all the videos you see. I direct those with a small team of videographers, photography, Worm Life, which is a YouTube series, and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm more in the creative field now.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I'm the head of the customer relations sphere, the website, all that stuff, just the back end stuff that lots of people
So
wanna do.
people tell you that they're very excited about their products and they want more.
When you,
Yeah,
you
no,
read all the
that is
fan
my
mail.
department. Yeah, basically.
As well as the opposite sometimes.
Yeah, no, the opposite. I have people for that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, no. Only send me the good stuff.
Exactly.
Well, this is gorgeous. All of it, what you guys are doing.
Thank
you.
How long does it take to make something like this?
Huh, that's a good
How,
question.
concept, or how long does it actually take to make a tray?
Both.
So the concept, it's interesting. We've actually had these lying around the shop for a long time because we've had our official D&D license with our dice vaults and our hero vaults for a while now, around when the beginning of 2019. And these were already created, but we were going through different leather processes, and we finally found one that we liked. So that got approved, and we went through a couple different things. But it's great to finally see it approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're live now. On the
People can
website.
buy it
right
now.
now, yeah.
Right now.
People
Yeah.
right
These
now
exact
can
ones.
order these. Yep. Paduk right here and Wenge are both available.
Yeah,
on
right
the
now we have
website.
them, with the black leather, and the red leather's coming soon. We just got to take some photos.
I mean, this is everything is so thoughtful. From these little, I don't know what they're called, but.
Oh, the feet. Yeah,
The feet,
little rubber
just
feet.
little
Yeah,
feet.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean-
It's a nice little touch, don't scratch up your table.
And really, once you roll your dice on something like this, you can't just use a table ever again.
It's
You've
a
ruined
spoils
it.
you?
You've ruined
Why
it
would
for
you?
me.
Yeah.
there's something there's something satisfying about rolling in leather, and then my favorite is hearing the dice just kind
Yes.
of bounce up
Yeah.
against the wood.
Yeah, you still
get that
get the
with
sound
dice
effects.
towers and inside the dice tray.
And
It's
I like
cool, and of
this
course,
part
we
because
have
then I
to-
can line them up because I'm a little OCD about my dice.
And,
And of course,
you
you
can
can
even
of course pop your
and
dice
you
in here.
can
We didn't think to
store
put a
them.
set of dice. Shame on us. But then when you're done,
Why wouldn't we have? We gotta get our dice down here so we have them. It fits,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, of
caboodles.
course, yeah.
Remember
dice in
caboodles?
the tray.
Yes! That's really speaking to my OCD right now. I really like this.
We would put our lunch in caboodles and then peg our jeans.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
like a little bento box for
Definitely,
your,
yeah.
for
Like
your
a bento box.
all
Okay,
about-
that's much better.
yeah, we're all
try
about
to-
sort of upgrading the experience as
Right.
a whole. Bring those little touches because we grew up, playing the game. Dougie and I, and as adults, you're looking for that sort of nice thing to invest in, and
Yeah.
your hobbies are where you go. How many hours have you spent around the table? So
Yeah.
why
And
not have
plus,
something nice to
this
show
looks
it?
nice, even when it's not in use.
Exactly.
It's just like a nice.
You don't have to
thing.
hide it when the company comes. You want
No.
to proudly display it.
No, I will put it
It's always
very
got that
proudly.
nice sound too. Like everything just
I know.
sounds
I know.
right.
But really, like it seems like this stuff should take a really long time. Like
It does. Initially, of course, it did. We have a really iterative process.
Yeah, no, right?
Of course.
Good
Yeah.
logo treatment there. And these are just to make sure everyone they're exclusive to D&D Live.
Yeah, these
right?
ones on display are exclusive to the event.
Okay.
However, there are ones available, with these inlays and these woods that are officially for the new event, the Descent to Reverse. That's live right now.
Well, right here, I actually brought a couple of each. So the
Oh, you
D&D
did.
Live
Great, great.
2019, these are things that people can only get at the event.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we now have, this is a, with every expansion, with every new storyline, we hope to do something like this. These are available on the website right now as well. So they have the same inlay, sulfur inlay, and it comes Infernal and in
Infernal
Okay.
as
common
well.
English,
or
whatever you
the
want to call it.
beautiful Tiamat font.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So these are available website and here, and forever. These are just got to be here to get them.
Is it the type of
D&D
thing where
Live
you
ones.
see wood in other places and you're like, oh, that's cherry wood, or that's blah blah blah. You're like, you just all of a sudden become like a wood guy.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially dealing with photography, dealing with all the assets of everything. I mean, when we do Kickstarters, it's like
Oh yeah.
50,
yeah. 30,
60,
50,
70
80
woods
we've done.
that we're
It's-
working with, and we need to go through photos of every single one. And I'm, right now we could just be like, oh, is that Argentinian lignum vitae? Like,
Oh my
it just
God.
Yeah,
like,
it's
like
just-
the most
I'm gonna do
ridiculous.
that too.
Yeah.
I know,
You know
right?
what
Is that Argentinian?
We always have like
I didn't even
4 or
hear
5
this
different.
Ling 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 ling.
Lignum,
That's what I
lignum
got.
vitae.
Well, it's always
Or
like
vitae.
Vitae.
Well, it's
Vitae.
like we've had like 3 oaks, 4 or 5 different rosewoods, and then it's always like, oh no, that's Honduran, no, that's Bolivian. Okay, yeah, like
What
you
are you
just.
looking for when you're looking for like
There's just little like
what- how it
discrepancies, like
holds up,
like
or-
Wenge, for example, is a good example of what's called like an
Wenge?
open grained wood.
called
Where
what, sorry?
it's called kind of an open grained wood. Like it's very sort of coarse and porous looking, not to the touch because of course we sand it down, but you can see the sort of spots in
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
there. Whereas cherry is a sort of finer, tighter grain. So like little discrepancies like that are just like tells.
more
for certain
aesthetic
things.
than?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, largely. Weight plays a factor, but
Yeah.
even just looking at it, you can.
Say mostly like the grain, for example, like in something like Wenge, like even you can see here, like you see how wide the grain is on this one? This is the same
Yeah.
exact wood, it has much tighter grain. You know what I mean? So like each piece of Wenge is very, very different from one another, whereas like cherry's more uniform.
Yeah.
You kind of know what to expect with cherry, and Wenge is a little kind of out there sometimes.
That's
Can be,
so
yeah.
cool. So when you were majoring in carpentry or woodworking, is this
Yeah.
what you thought you'd end
Not,
up doing?
not in a million years.
Yeah.
Well, I
Goes
met
for all of us.
I met
Yeah, I guess.
I met Doug. I met Doug's wife at a library because she saw my Iron Man socks. So we started talking about nerd stuff, and then she told me what Doug did, and I was like, "What? That's
a
insane.
job? That's
somebody's
somebody's job?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, anyone who's not in this industry, talking to them, they're like, really?
Right.
And
Yeah,
they,
it's like,
they
you
don't
do
get
what
it.
again?
They just
Yeah.
don't get it. So when I went in and I saw just this industry appreciates craftsmanship and love and just like the
Yeah.
type of things that we try to put into our products, where it's like if you're a trained carpenter, you can make furniture that's thousands and thousands of dollars. Who the hell are you going to sell it to? Because people who want a table are going to get the best deal they can. They're going to go to IKEA and get the best value for their money.
Right.
But if it's a hobby, something where people love, it's a part of their lives. They
Yeah.
don't want the cheapest thing. They want the nicest thing they can buy. So I think that's probably one of the largest reasons why Wormwood has been successful is because just the market appreciates and is willing to pay a premium on something that's going to last forever
Yeah.
and something that
And then they can show off at the table. I mean, that's a big
exactly.
part of
And
it too.
it's-
Is like
and it's
people, it means them, and it's like, oh, this is my wormwood thing that I, shaved up for. This is what I got.
Yeah, no,
Everyone's
it's
gonna
a
love it.
goal.
You get to show it off.
Yeah.
It's sort
And
of
it's a good
aspirational.
gift.
Yeah.
And it's also,
It's a good gift,
there's a
yeah.
very sort of communal element of the company. Because, at the time when Bobby joined up, it was our job, but we were lucky enough, like Leslie, I was working at the library
Yeah.
and supporting Doug. We had help from our family and friends to
Yeah.
actually get this off the ground.
Right.
And now it's self-sustaining. We have about 50 people at the shop, and it's great. But the community, like we would not be here if we hadn't launched on Kickstarter stuff and had the community support
Yeah.
us. And there was a real outcry for I was shocked because after we did the first Kickstarter, we did a convention, and we had all these people coming up to us just saying like thank you for doing this,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
It's a
well,
good
thank you
community.
for ordering one, but really like people were just so happy to have something.
awesome, you guys.
You're right. Good
Well,
craftsmanship. Will
this
we
is-
get more? Yeah.
Yes, this is absolutely just beautiful work.
Thanks very
Thank you
much.
so
Yeah,
much.
it's a
Really
dream come true
appreciate
to have that ampersand on our stand.
You mentioned the tables, so I mean, how's that going? What's because that's a whole new different.
It's almost
Yeah,
a different,
scale of
it's almost a
business.
different business.
It really
it's
is,
almost an
yeah.
entirely. It flipped it flipped Wormwood on its head. Like if we're gonna go to a convention, we have to sell. Let's say if we want to make 10 grand, we have to sell a lot of dice vaults in order to do that.
Yeah.
But for now, that's one table. So average, they start at 5,000. But the fact that it's such a different price point is really turning Wormwood into something else.
Bless
And thus
you.
far, bless you.
Excuse me.
And thus far, it's a lot of pollen here in hell. And
Curse you.
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, and it's going really, really well right now. The shop is making about 2 tables a week.
Yep, we're going up to 4
I'm
within a month.
impressed that you
And
can crank only 50 people in the shop.
Yeah,
Only
and well,
50.
yeah, we're working into sort of reposition things because historically it's been all accessories, and then we launched the table department with 3 or 4 people. The first table was built by one craftsman just over the course of months.
Like a prototype, right?
And yeah, exactly. So now that the things are shifting, we're working on ways to sort of smooth out some of the more tedious work on these products and focus on the hand stuff. We can shift more over to the furniture, so it's kind of tilting in that direction. We'll just have more and more people over there.
Great.
But yeah, it's
Congratulations, you guys.
the arc of the company has been building towards the furniture the whole time. That's where Doug and Ian started, was this handcrafted custom furniture that, like Bobby said, there was no real audience for.
Right.
So Wormwood's allowed them to find one.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Well, I can't wait to see where you're going next
Yep.
and to get one of your tables.
Yes.
One
Thanks
day.
so much.
One day.
Put
It's
us-
my
put us-
aspiration.
Put us down for one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You
guys
actually
are
have room to put it in your house. You're like, oh, well.
I was thinking about the office.
Oh, well, that's yeah.
Well, expensive.
They look great. They look great.
no.
They can't be on my phone. They can't be in my house either. Heck. Awesome.
right.
Well, thank you guys for
Thank
stopping
you
by.
so
We're
much, you
excited
guys.
for all the fans to be able to check out all of the Wormwood stuff that you've got here at D&D Live 2019, but then on the website, people get them while they're hot.
Thank you guys so
Burning.
much. It's a dream to be
yes,
here.
like
Thank you.
literally hot.
Literally
as
hot
hell,
and burning.
yeah.
All right, awesome,
Infernal.
cool. We'll be back with Whiz Kids in 1 minute.
One
We should
minute.
probably just do it right now. You
Why
guys,
not?
get
Yeah.
get your mics off. We'll
We're
come
just
back
gonna
in.
do like a live switch. Like
Yeah,
that.
let's do it live.
Okay.
Fuck it, we'll do it
Okay.
live.
All right.
Go ahead.
Roll them
Yeah,
in.
turn off their mics, let them get off, and then we'll get the other 2 folks in.
Look, Siri was trying. to
Where's
find-
Jason? There's Jason. All right, go ahead and come on in.
So in Baldur's Gate, the Descent into
Hey.
Oblivion, you have contracts. These infernal
I
contracts.
know.
What do
You
players
accidentally
get
forgot.
Two of
out
them
of
were
them?
here,
And
right?
What do the devils
Yeah, they're worth.
get from
They were.
So the players can
So
get
yeah, you guys go ahead and go around and just start getting their mics on, basically.
items.
just
They
got
can
really
get
dark.
Gold.
It's got real dark.
Power. There's even
all Adam.
possibility of gaining
All right,
levels.
sweet.
So depending on what the player wants, the devils are more than willing to supply you with that.
Devils are the worst capitalist opportunists you'll ever meet.
But therein is the temptation, and therein is the problem, because the devils ultimately want your soul, and they want your servitude. But they will pave that road with with gold and lovely things. They'll make it as easy for you to walk that slippery slope as possible. And so in the game, there's actually a chart that the DM can track these deals on, who the devil was, who made it with which character in the party. And they also can provide fine print, things that maybe the character doesn't know about. It's like if the character has failed on a roll, or if they don't, they're like, fine, whatever, I'll just sign it. If their back's up against the wall. Characters can also try to get out of death with a deal.
If a character has failed 2 death saves and is about to make their 3rd, an archdevil could basically kind of whisper telepathically in their ear and say, I'll keep you alive. This is what it's going to cost you. And you can make that deal right then and there, and you'll get a natural 20 on your 3rd death save.
I love this.
Someone's going to take it.
So everyone's going to take it. When you're in the 9 hells, you're in the devil's domain, and they're running that show, and they have control. The archdevils control each of their layers. So when you're on that layer, metaphysically, you are in the palm of their hand. They have absolute control metaphysically over that. So when you are down there, your wildest
we have
dreams
15
can
each
come
one.
true,
10.
but also your
Oh, you told them
darkest
10?
nightmares
So that we
as
could
well.
swap
so beware.
Hell is hell, and you want it to feel
Remember how
like
math
hell,
works?
where nothing ever goes right
I
and
want to
no
make
one
sure.
really
I don't
gets
know
what
that
they
you actually
want.
have a
Right.
Hello, everyone. We are back. I'm Greg. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh yeah, I'm Shelly.
Yeah, this is Shelly. Hi.
We didn't even
This is
bother
Jason.
with that.
Hi, Jason.
This is Kyle.
This is Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. Did we get you guys right on the lower thirds? I hope so. You guys are from Whiz Kids.
Yes.
How is it going?
Incredible.
Yeah,
You've
good.
been preparing here for the last couple of days, getting all of your. Actually, your booth is right
It's right
behind
behind
us.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that been like setting all that up?
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of product.
It's a lot
It
of
is a lot of
product.
product.
You guys do a lot of stuff.
You're
Tons of
probably
stuff,
not going
tons.
home with that much product. So
No, not
that'll be-
personally. I'm not trying to cart it behind me.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
people
Yeah,
are
no.
gonna
Might be hard to bring on
help
the
you
plane.
unload some of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned a lot of product. What
Yes.
are all the things that Whiz Kids is doing for Dungeons & Dragons?
Yeah, so the most exciting thing right now is for the Descent into Avernus set, we're doing the full 45 miniature set, so set 12 is the new release. We can't necessarily talk about any of the characters and figures in it just yet, but lots of new demons, which we're really excited about.
New demons.
Yeah, all the new demons. And the premium figure for that is the Infernal War Machine, which we
What?
debuted
Like,
at
people
the
can
show.
get this?
Yeah, they can actually get this.
What?
So it is a premium figure. It's not a case incentive, correct, Kyle?
It is actually.
But they can buy it separately.
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
don't have
yeah.
to buy the brick in order to get it.
No
Yeah, you can just
way.
order it separately. Yeah, totally. It's like 11 inches long. You've got room for a mini in the cockpit, and you've also got room for 6 minis in the back side of it. It's really awesome. They're basically infernal blood war tanks
Yep.
that demons use to traverse the hellscape.
Hence the.
Hell's the horns.
Horns.
Hell's the horns.
Oh,
Oh, the horns.
this is
gotta throw
amazing.
the horns
This
when you
really
talk about
comes
the horns.
apart.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
would just
you can
leave
put-
this out in my house
Right?
because it's so beautiful.
Like on your
and maybe
coffee
put
table?
like some M&Ms or something in
Yeah,
there.
some mints. After
For my
dinner mints.
guests,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, totally.
This
It is quite the piece,
awesome.
yeah.
So you did the prototype for this?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
does
yeah.
that even mean? Like tell me, walk me through this.
So generally, we our sculpting team will design it, and they'll send me images. I'll see them, work with them to make little tweaks, maybe give suggestions here and there, and then from there we get physical prototypes and make sure it works right and make sure it looks good and
Because there's a lot of detail on this.
Yeah, all the chains and
Yeah.
all the little, spokes and treads and all that stuff. And even the, interior is even
Yeah.
sculpted with little pipes and rivets and all that stuff. Looks kind of ramshackled, like built together just from found parts. Yeah.
It's truly incredible.
And so go ahead.
I was just going to say, these Infernal War Machines, just so everyone knows the story of them, is that there are these warlords in Avernus who each control some of these machines. This is one approximation of them, but we have, kind of the idea that this whole marketplace is within one of those Infernal War Machines, and we have some of the, dune buggy type things over here showing them off. And then at the D&D Epic that is going on right now on the other studio, this miniature is going to be the focal point for all their play.
That's right. Yeah.
Pretty
very
exciting.
Very exciting. And I mean, one thing that we consider moving forward always is how we call it 4D storytelling. The idea that what's the next level that we can take a mini to?
4D.
Yeah, right?
Like time?
Yeah, time and space. We're bending time and space at Whiz Kids. We've figured it out. We've managed to.
What if someone comes up with 5D storytelling?
It's not possible. No, we just copyrighted it. But just the idea that, for example, like the Hallister's Lab premium set, the back of the wardrobe pops out. It's a false back, so you can like have a secret passage in it,
I know,
and things
all
like
that.
that.
I love all that
So
stuff.
we just really, I think that attention to detail really makes fans enjoy kind of what we do, and we always try to take it a little bit more. So basically, to add story to what you're trying to do with a miniature, instead of just having miniatures on a table. But
I
this
mean,
is an
using
example
your
of that.
imagination is great.
Yeah.
But oh my God, to be able to
Right.
just have this in front of you.
And it leads to creativity. Like I've been asked a lot this weekend, what do you guys feel minis bring to the table? And it's actually, it breeds creativity, right? Yeah. Everyone at the table playing DD, if you're playing Theater of the Mind, each has an idea of what that room or what that object looks like. Minis allow you to actually have spatial awareness of what is around you and breeds further creativity. So.
Awesome.
It really does.
That's very cool. Did you paint this?
No.
Did you paint this?
No.
No. It is a prototype. No, we did not.
Nice.
Not yet.
Because you're
We
a
will.
painter as well,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Minis painter?
Yeah, so we just launched Nolzur's Marvelous Painting Tutorials with Realmsmith on the D&D Twitch. So every Sunday at 5 Eastern, we paint Nolzur's minis. We did 2 dragons already, the copper dragon and the blue dragon, and next week we'll do the black dragon.
And these are tutorials?
Yeah,
to
they're all
teach
tutorials.
people-
Yeah, 2-hour tutorials to teach people how to paint our minis.
Nice.
Our
Can-
collective minis.
But can you actually paint a mini in 2 hours?
Yeah, we did the copper dragon. Actually, we did the copper dragon in an hour and a half, and then the blue dragon was about an hour and 45.
So is it in the tutorial, are you like teaching people like how to blend colors and mix
Yeah.
and make like details and...
Techniques enough to make it tabletop ready. So dry brushing and base coating and highlighting and kind of those sorts of quick sort of things. So yeah, but 2 hours for every mini. So we're focusing on kind of the young dragons at first, and then we'll move on to the rest of it too.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What a
very
great
cool.
idea.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like being able to show people the wonder of mini spinning. It's a lot like the streaming of Dungeons and Dragons, where you probably 20 years ago, if someone was like, "Wait, people watch people paint minis?" Like, that doesn't
People
seem
watched
that
Bob
entertaining.
Ross.
Yeah.
Well,
It
right.
was very relaxing
Yeah.
to
Well, it's
watch.
because he's entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, just like you are.
And we
Happy-
do. We
happy
take
little
out,
dragons.
we take out
Happy
the
little dragons.
Yeah, we do. We take out the player's handbook, and we have a little story time in the end. And we talk about stats and how to use the mini in your game. And so we try and bring a bit of game into it as well. But so many people love our product. We definitely want to show them how to bring some life to them. So
You guys do great work.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love it.
What are you prototyping next?
Yeah.
Oh.
No pressure.
You know you
but
can ask that
I
question.
know,
Great
I
to
know. I'm just very
Out of
excited.
all the people that ask it.
Correct, you know.
I know, right?
We do have premium minis coming out, so we're doing, our typical kind of pre-painted booster packs. We actually have one-shot kind of booster packs with single minis in them that are painted with a lot more detail than the boosters are, and so those are releasing 4. Right?
Yeah, so it's 6, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all player characters, different races and class combinations.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
cool.
some of the most popular ones.
I like that.
Kind of the
Yeah.
showpiece minis, right? So they're kind of the one-offs.
Right.
And then of course, unpainted line. We've got waves 8 through 10. 8 just released, and that's the young dragon ones. The next wave, I think it has turtles in it.
Yep,
Oh.
yep.
Turtles.
Right,
Turtles.
and then it has the brass, silver, and white dragon as well in it, young dragons, and so we're super excited. Those unpainted minis are just flying off the shelves, so people love them. People still can't get the beholder. And how long ago was the beholder?
yeah.
Wave,
Oh God, probably
that
wave
thing's
4.
just wave 4, and it's still
Yeah.
selling out like crazy. So
Dan Telfer from Nerd Poker is always buggy. He's like, I'm doing a whole beholder thing in my campaign. I need beholders. I'm like, I can't. They're very hard to find. I totally understand. Yeah.
Everyone likes a beholder. How can
it's
you?
great.
So when you're prototyping, what is that? How many iterations do you do? Do you have one and then you're like, oh, I got to tweak it, or do you go through like 100? What?
So it depends, but I would say for this one we probably went through about 7 different iterations
All right.
before.
That's not that many.
Yeah, it's, usually we're very good at getting it pretty close on the first try, but sometimes we have to make small.
And how far in
iterations.
advance before this actually comes out are you guys starting this prototyping?
So we usually start things about a year in advance. That's generally our goal, is a year, and most times that's how long it takes.
It's a long time to keep things under your hat.
Yeah.
Do you guys, and so, I mean, you guys have been coming to our licensing meetings, so you get sometimes like a sneak peek of what's to come. I remember there was a presentation by Adam Lee last summer about this adventure, and does it come from that? Is it be like, all right, well, that's the idea of what's happening, and then we'll talk louder over the loud drilling. But, and then you're like, okay, we'll decide, and then the prototyping begins at that point?
Yeah. For me, I generally get like a document that outlines, what you guys are going to be doing, and from there I just pick out little things, and I work with a couple other people to make the set list, try to get all the key monsters, all the important story beats.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. I was wondering how, because you get to see the story Bible and hear about in advance, so you're picking out who the minis are gonna be from that.
Yeah.
And then do you submit a list like these are who we think, or does?
Yeah. We so I work with one other person, and we make the set list, and then from there we submit it, and they give us the okay on it. Maybe they might tell us to take 1 or 2 things out, but generally they're all right with everything.
Yeah.
And it's good.
And you guys, of course, have these huge trophies
I know.
back
These are
behind
awesome.
here. The red dragon, the black dragon that just came out. We just hung one of those in our office.
So cool.
Along with our
Yeah.
mind
Yeah,
flare.
they're so cool. The Beholder's very popular.
Beholder
It's not here
just
either,
kinda
but
hangs out on our
it's so cool.
Yeah, the Xanathar just hangs out.
He just sits with us, joins our team meetings.
He gets very mad. He gets very mad.
He's very surly.
But did you guys work on those at all? Did you prototype that, or what was that like?
So our sculpting teams do make the foam statues. I'm not personally involved with those ones, but I still see the prototypes and I'll give little suggestions here and there. Like I remember with the black dragon, at one point he had a little bit of green on him, which is a little bit of maybe a mistake, but we got that fixed.
Nice. You're like, it's not a green dragon.
No.
It's a black
It's
dragon.
a black
Yeah.
dragon. Yeah,
He's
exactly.
a green dragon
Yeah.
in disguise.
Maybe it was swampy leftover
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Loam on
Maybe he was
him.
in a swimming pool.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
It happens.
And I think we make stuff that we love and we would want, and I think that was
Yeah.
more of kind of a marketing thing, and then people just love them, and
know.
then they flew off the shelves, and so we just take chances and make stuff that we think that we would love ourselves, like this, and then hope that everybody loves them too. So
That's a great philosophy. Make the thing that you love,
Yeah.
and
Yep. And they will come.
and then set it free. No, wait, that's the butterfly.
you
That's
can
the
set it
other-
free. I mean, I won't throw this one because it's a prototype.
Yeah.
That's an
Yeah,
Infernal
that's
War
not-
Machine, I think, getting
Yeah, it
revved
is.
up
The
and
war
ready to
machine's
go.
starting up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys are the carpenters. I should have said it to Wormwood. When that's happening, it's usually not a good thing.
No.
So I don't know why it's continuing for as
Is
long
this
as it
set
was.
going to come down around us? Is
Yeah,
that,
that's it. That's
Oh,
All right,
they're
good.
Well,
taking
you
it
are in
down.
hell, and everything's gonna fall down.
Okay.
Castle's coming
Bound to
down.
happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where can people find out about everything that's happening at Whiz Kids and you guys personally?
Yeah, so whizkids.com. You get all the information there that you want across our entire lines and all of our products that are available.
That's not
Val?
who we are right now.
So for me, I don't actually really have too much of an online presence. Yeah.
You can see all of Kyle's work at whizkids.com.
Yeah.
Easily
Awesome.
enough. For sure. For myself, at Realmsmith TV on Twitter and on all the socials, and then catch Nolzur's Marvelous Tutorials with Realmsmith Sundays at
definitely.
5 Eastern.
Sundays at 5 Eastern.
So Black Dragon will be this coming Sunday. Obviously today, or tomorrow we don't have one, but a week
Right.
tomorrow we'll have it on the D&D Twitch. I'm very excited.
Excellent. Awesome.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you
for coming
guys.
by.
Appreciate
Work
it.
You guys
is
are great.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Let's close it out for now. Let us know when we're off.
So in Baldur's Gate, the Descent into Avernus, you have contracts, these infernal contracts. What do players get out of them, and what do the devils get from them?
So the players can get anything from assistance, they can get items, they can get gold, they can get power. There's even possibility of gaining levels. So depending on what the player wants, the devils are more than willing to supply you with that.
Devils are the worst capitalist opportunists you'll ever meet.
But therein is the temptation, and therein is the problem, because the devils ultimately want your soul, and they want your servitude. But they will pave that road with with gold and lovely things. They'll make it as easy for you to walk that slippery slope as possible. And so in the game, there's actually a chart that the DM can track these deals on, who the devil was, who made it with which character in the party. And they also can provide fine print, things that maybe the character doesn't know about. It's like if the character has failed on a roll, or if they don't, they're like, fine, whatever, I'll just sign it. If their back's up against the wall. Characters can also try to get out of death with a deal.
If a character has failed 2 death saves and is about to make their third, an archdevil could basically kind of whisper telepathically in their ear and say, I'll keep you alive. This is what it's going to cost you. And you can make that deal right then and there, and you'll get a natural 20 on your 3rd death save.
I love this.
Someone's going to take it.
So everyone's going to take it.
When you're in the 9 hells, you're in the devil's domain, and they're running that show, and they have control. The archdevils control each of their layers. So when you're on that layer metaphysically, you are in the palm of their hand. They have absolute control metaphysically over that. So when you are down there, your wildest dreams can come true, but also your darkest nightmares as well. So beware.
Hell is hell, and you want it to feel like hell, where nothing ever goes right and no one really gets what they want.
Right.
Not even the people who rule the place get what they want.
Lotzi?
That's just the nature of hell.
Right. They have no one they can trust anymore.
There's some
D&D Live
mechanisms
3,
built
right?
into that the DM can use as well to sort
I'm
of
just gonna go with
accentuate
pressing that
Is that
button.
is that a video
Like,
game?
bad
Yeah,
things
this
can
is the
happen
old
with a roll of 1.
You can deal up in levels, you can deal up in power, you can deal up in hit points. Like you can make a deal just about for anything. And the higher the deal is, the more costly it's going to be to you. So the thing of like you go into hell, only those who are really hold and stick to their values can come out of hell unscathed. And that was one of our themes that we had talked about in the story meetings, where it's like the righteous path is the most difficult path. Like if you really want to be righteous, it is going to be hard. It is going to be really difficult even just to get point A to point B, let alone complete the adventure and, you know, do what you need to do to save everything. So we were like, you're going to come out scarred. You're going to come out changed. Like, you know, the idea when we talked about Tomb of Annihilation was like, one of the things was if you enter the tomb, you're going to come out different. Like you're going to have a chicken foot, or you're going to have a scar, or you're going to be missing your ear, or something weird's going to happen.
Yeah, no one walks out of the tomb.
No.
Well, at least without a few things missing.
And
most people don't walk out of the tomb.
No, yeah. Most people don't walk out.
So
However,
so this is
yeah.
more psychological stuff,
Yeah.
or soul-wise.
Yeah.
Or compromising your character's morality.
Yeah, I see this as kind of like, you know, the Senate. Like you're a congressman
with you guys.
or you're a senator.
We're
you're
running a little bit
I'm
behind.
going to change things. I'm going to really make
You only
it
expected
different.
10.
And you go in there with these
my
high
first
ideals
10.
and
Yeah.
like,
Second
hit the
10.
game.
Not the back 10.
And you're dealing with
All right,
these
ready when
elder
you guys are.
devils. They're trying to pull you out of your
about this.
idealism.
Yeah, we got stuff.
I want to talk about your costumes, but I think we should talk about this.
Yeah, talk about
Deal
this.
there.
Yeah.
Do this little thing. Or how about this? How about a nice free vacation?
I'll ask you all my questions
How about a
later.
house in, you know, the tropics? Like, all that stuff is like, it's innocent. It doesn't feel wrong. But as it accumulates, then you realize, you know, I bought into it. I lost myself. And so...
Hello, we're welcome back to Dragon Talk. I am Greg, this is Shelley. We have Paul and Bill here.
Charlie.
Charlie, sorry. From Beadle Grimm. How are you?
We're great. We're great. We're happy to be here.
Your voice has been much better shaped than mine.
Yes.
Yeah,
so we're
you're-
going to let you do all the
It's not even
talking.
9 o'clock. You're running ragged.
Although I don't know, it looks like you didn't maybe get a lot of sleep.
Well,
last
you know,
night. You know, they have cream for that.
really, do they?
Yeah.
Well, I got. You know what?
He's used a lot. You should have seen it before that.
Yeah. This is with makeup. But you know, being in hell is no cakewalk.
It's hard to sleep.
You know,
It's
Yeah.
very hard.
it's
Hearing
I've
all
tried
like
this, all the
those-
wailing, the
those-
gnashing
the wailing.
of
Yeah, I
teeth.
know.
It's
Yeah.
the gnashing of teeth, really.
Exactly.
It's the hard
I
part.
know.
And
I
the
need
harvesting
you need
of
like
souls
a white noise
is a
machine.
surprisingly time-consuming process.
It is. It is. But
You guys
worth
have done a
it.
good job with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. You got so
So-
many souls.
Yeah. Well, and we've turned them into really awesome stuff.
What?
Tell us
Speaking
about
of,
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
So last year, you know, we launched Beadle and Grimm's at the stream last year. Like literally,
It's
we
only
signed.
been a year.
It's been a year. We signed our contract like an hour before we went live
Yeah, the blood was
Your
still
Infernal
wet.
pack.
By the time we
on
met.
the Infernal pact.
Asmodeus.
Oh, we're allowed to call her that?
Yeah, exactly.
Our lawyer.
So, and you know, we didn't have anything really to show yet. It was all just on sort of hopes and dreams.
Just trust us.
And
It'll be great.
it was like, hey, trust. And in the year since, what's amazing is that we put out the Waterdeep Dragon Heist Platinum Edition, 1,000 units. We sold those out. It was amazing. And since then, we've come up with a Silver Edition, which we actually now are
there
about
it
to
is.
I haven't
release.
seen this yet.
No.
Yeah. So this is actually the actual production box
Oh my
that it's
God.
going to be in. That actually ships in just a couple of weeks now.
Wow.
We have some
That is
amazing
awesome.
things in it. This is actually one of the things that's in the adventure.
Oh my gosh.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's the
heavy.
Shark God. I don't want to give too much
Yeah.
away,
Yeah, no
but
spoilers, no
Wait, is
spoilers.
that
Way
a, that's not a baby shark.
Okay,
Baby shark god.
Yeah,
how
yeah.
dare you? It's a left shark.
It's a left shark. Oh,
Love shark.
There's so many
Love
memes.
shark, baby. So and then these are just some of the things that are going to be in it. So because our boxes are all about the physical handouts that we can have.
Wow, that's cool.
So these are all parts of the story that are just so much fun to make and really tell the story. We have, back in our booth, we have the big maps from Saltmarsh. So to be able to come here and have the actual physical products, whereas last year it was just all about what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's super fun.
And then to be able to announce yesterday that we're releasing the Platinum Edition for Descent into Avernus. You're
gonna have fun with that one.
So much fun. And so we have the first piece that we've produced for it.
Wow, again, very heavy.
Yeah, so this is
Beautiful.
the Hell Rider badge.
Yeah. I'm a hand model.
Yeah, yep,
I
there
can't
you go.
talk, but I can hand model.
Oh,
You're like,
look at
this
that.
Is like, look at that, look at that.
Yeah.
Close
So
up.
this is the badge of the Hell Riders of El Terrell. It's just
Love
really so much fun to be able to to talk about and show, and it's been so much fun to work on. So we're really, really excited about it. Once again, we're only making 1,000 of those. It started going on sale yesterday, and just in the first few hours, we sold more than we sold the entire weekend last year.
Wow.
So we're
It's fun to have a track record.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about there. Yeah. People know what you guys are going to deliver.
yeah.
They know that it's awesome, and they
Yep.
know that they'll just increase the amount of stuff that they have in their kit.
Yeah, absolutely.
With each box that they have out there.
And so this year we're actually going to have. Well, actually, Charlie, there's something else that we have to show that's going to be in. No. First of all, it's going to be in the Descent box. Yeah.
These guys, I don't know how well you can see them.
Yeah,
but,
show them.
These are our namesakes. That
Beadle,
is Beadle
and Grimm.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gale Force 9 has.
Gale Force 9
came through for us.
put Matthew Lillard in one of those huge molds and just
shrunk him down.
And then shrunk him down. So that's Grimm the Giant Slayer and
my
Beadle,
God.
and these are going to be little extra add-ons in our Descent into Avernus Platinum
That is
Edition.
awesome.
They're going to be fully painted when they come out, but these just are fresh off the.
Okay, so they will be
they're
painted.
they'll be painted. These are fresh off
Smells like a new
the
mini.
factory line. Yeah, we're really excited about
Wait,
that.
what kind of weapon does he have? I just want to make
Well,
sure.
he's got a tankard.
Yeah.
He's got a prick,
I know.
a little dagger.
A little, that's a dagger.
Sorry.
It's rather personal.
That's what it's called.
That's what it looks like. So it's true to form.
Matt's not watching, is he?
No, he never watches.
Not awake yet.
And so we're also this year is also the year that we're starting to expand our product lines.
This
We're doing
year,
some other things.
it's your second.
It's a
year.
part,
Yeah, it's actually not even
can-
because I
About
think
time,
these
you
came a
guys.
little
We can
less
out-
than a year apart. But
we can talk in years now. Last year we were talking in minutes.
Yeah.
So we're doing a series of map vaults.
yeah,
So we're doing one now for
Alex Kammer's Sea King's Mallet.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a Kickstarter right now. This is a stretch goal for it. And this will include 3 ship maps, 2-sided, one-sided as it is in the module, and the other side is all the bulkheads are empty, and it's on dry erase, so you can reuse it for your own
that's cool.
adventures and draw in as you like.
Yeah. And we're also this year going to hopefully be rolling out some player-focused products that we can't quite announce yet, but there's going to be some other things that we're going to come out with this year that are
And
going to
this
be
is
not just for
separate
DM.
than the box.
Yeah, so separate from the
Okay.
box, we're going to have things that are just going to be for players. Yeah, so the box, it's for the players and the DM, but the DM gets to keep it, because that's what they're doing.
Right.
But we're going to try to come up with some things this year that are going to be for players that are the same level of quality and physical elements and things like that. But we're really excited about the opportunity to be able to build this stuff and share it with everybody. We've just been having a great time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So where can people find out more about what's where to find all this?
So beadleandgrims.com. The Ghosts of Saltmarsh is on sale now. We only are making 1,200 of them, and they ship just a couple of weeks after the book hits stores. So the first week in June, I think, is when it ships.
Yep.
So if you want to get one of those, now's the time to do it.
Yeah,
Beadle
10% off this weekend.
10% off this weekend, and we just launched Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus Platinum Edition. You can get that.
They're selling fast.
They're selling
They're selling
fast.
fast.
We're only making 1,000 of them. And they're also 10% off this weekend on the website.
And when they're done, they're done. They're gone.
And when they are gone, they are gone.
When they're done, they're done.
Exactly. You have to go to hell to get one.
Excellent. All right, awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. I
Absolutely.
love everything
you
you
guys
guys are
look
doing.
awesome,
and
too.
I can't wait for
Costumes are
people to find
amazing.
more.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Great.
Good to see
Awesome.
you.
Great. Awesome.
Thanks,
Greg.
guys.
Thanks, Shelley.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Great. We are going to get our next guests
See
in
them.
here from Penny Arcade right now. Go ahead and take your mics off because I think we're gonna do a hot. We're gonna do a hot so we can keep it
Hot
going.
swap.
You guys are the best.
You guys
I
look
love
great.
the costumes.
I know.
I like the Lotsie that
your
you guys
booth.
are doing too.
So
All right.
in Baldur's Gate,
Get
the
some
Descent
sleep,
into
for God's sake.
Avernus, you have
Wait, why are we doing
contracts,
oh,
these
okay.
infernal contracts. What do players
All right.
get out of them, and what do the devils get from them?
So the players can get anything from assistance, they can get items, they can get gold, they can get power. There's even possibility of gaining levels. So depending on what the player wants, the devils are more than willing to supply you with that.
Devils are the worst capitalist opportunists you'll ever meet.
But therein is the temptation, and therein is the problem, because the devils ultimately want your soul, and they want your servitude. But they will pave that road with with gold and lovely things. They'll make it as easy for you to walk that slippery slope as possible. And so in the game, there's actually a chart that the DM can track these deals on, who the devil was, who made it with which character in the party. And they also can provide fine print, things that maybe the character doesn't know about. It's like if the character has failed on a roll, or if they don't, they're like, fine, whatever, I'll just sign it. If their back's up against the wall. Characters can also try to get out of death with a deal.
If a character has failed 2 death saves and is about to make their third, an archdevil could basically kind of whisper telepathically in their ear and say, I'll keep you alive. This is what it's going to cost you. And you can make that deal right then and there, and you'll get a natural 20 on your 3rd death save.
I love this.
Someone's going to take it.
So everyone's going to take it.
When you're in the 9 hells, you're in the devil's domain, and they're running that show, and they have control. The archdevils control each of their layers. So when you're on that layer, metaphysically, you are in the palm of their hand. They have absolute control metaphysically over that. So when you are down there, your wildest dreams can come true, but also your darkest nightmares as well. So beware.
Hell is hell, and you want it to feel like hell, where nothing ever goes right and no one really gets what they want.
Right.
Not even the people who rule the place get what they want. That's just the nature of hell.
Right. They have no one they can trust anyways.
Right. There are some mechanisms built into that the DM can use as well to sort of accentuate that idea. Like, bad things can happen.
You can totally read a book. That's good content.
We've had it less than 24 hours in
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Dragon Talk. I am Greg. We have Shelley, and we have Lydia and Jerry from Penny Arcade, Actors Incorporated, and all the fun stuff. Yay! We forgot to do the clapping.
I know.
We do the clapping each
we
time
like the
to
live
start
clapping.
it up.
If you clap for yourself, I feel like that
You're
takes
clapping
things-
for Lydia.
Okay, there we go.
Lydia's
We were
clapping
clapping for you
There's a
guys.
clapping continuum.
Yes.
And we're all protected.
Everybody clap for the person on their left.
Exactly. There's no
self-clap,
is what I'm saying.
Never.
Yes, and then we clap for the fallen soldier, the fallen adventurer.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Godspeed.
But you
so-
should clap for yourselves
Oh.
because.
Oh, Shelley, have you? Well, here, we should hold it up.
Have
Have you feasted upon?
I feasted upon it when it was in Gale Form. I was tearing through it.
Oh, that's right. I actually had an opportunity. I was out there. So for Child's Play, there was like a couple games with Chris Perkins that got sold as lots.
Yes.
And I got invited to one of those games. And so when I came out to Wizards, that was the first time I'd ever seen a Galley print. And it was the first time I'd ever seen
And you
the
saw this.
cover printed out
Oh.
like up on the wall. With
Pretty
like
amazing.
the mat. I couldn't handle it. I lost it.
This has to be like really amazing. Like think about like way back when you guys started doing this, 4th edition audio podcast,
Yes.
which was awesome. That's how I actually learned how to play 4th edition, just by listening to those podcasts.
You did?
Yeah, that's amazing. it's like I just would listen to them endlessly on my way to and from work. Like
Really?
just totally sucked in. Like
In my mind, like I can't even imagine that's true. Like in my mind, you know how it is like whenever you meet a person and it's like you're just like, oh well, they've always been the way that they are when I met them now. And it's
there was
like,
a time when I did not know.
it's like
how
this
to play.
person is hardcore. They're out there killing it every day.
It's the T-shirt.
There's a lot to learn,
T-shirt,
right?
It does.
But
It's making me look
But
bad.
no, I mean, because the truth is, I mean, it's impossible to think about what it was like going back like in 08 or 09 and then doing that. Like
These little baby characters.
No,
that you
exactly.
Have.
But even before like podcasts were even like a big deal. Like it was kind of a weird thing to get into.
It was a really weird thing.
Right? And then now, but if you go even further back than that, where it's just like kids engaging with the game on their own terms and playing it and like buying like a $20 or $30 book and then playing for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like the idea that there's a real book that catalogs like, our adventures and our campaign, but then also invites people into the same setting. Like that is too much.
I know.
It's too much.
You gotta do more. You gotta pack more in there.
I'm into
Tell
it.
us about what are people going to get in this book?
Oh my gosh.
What is this? What's
Oh,
happening?
well,
here?
nothing would bring me more pleasure.
Tell us everything.
And the best part is that it has a table of contents.
Oh.
So
I saw like a
You
panic
guys-
in your eyes, like,
you
what is it?
splurged.
no, it's ease itself. Not only does it have a table of contents, Shelley Bazanoble, it also has an index.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So if you want to know where stuff is,
What a great idea.
we are getting you coming and going. We got it on both sides. But no, the main thing is it starts out. I mean, I can even show you specifically, right?
Just read from it.
No, I can quite easily.
Because
Everybody,
there are words in it.
everybody,
Oh wait, they're used words?
Yes.
everybody, settle
Hold out
in.
all the stops for this.
All right,
one.
so in here, you've got this part right here, which is designed. Here, let me turn to the camera. That section right there is designed to invite new members and existing enthusiasts of Acquisitions Incorporated into the setting, which is essentially a kind of fan fiction. I mean, it's like whenever anybody grabs some Forgotten Realms stuff,
Right.
and then as soon as their game starts in there, it's really their Forgotten Realms, right?
Yeah,
That's
their
what I
own
think.
shard of reality.
Exactly, right? And the truth is that the game system allows for that mechanically. It's totally fine. Every now and then we'll try to cross over with other groups, and the main reason we try to do those crossovers is just to lend additional reality to both sides of it.
Yeah.
Right? Just bind up our shards and add value, so to speak, in AI terms to both sides. But
Value.
yeah, but beyond that, then you have, the main chunk here is going to be something like this here is 1 to 6 campaign. So that basically, by the time you're done with that campaign, you are ready to take on the Forgotten Realms essentially as a member in good standing of Acquisitions Incorporated. So by the end of that, you have you're going to have a headquarters.
Oh my God.
You'll have employees, and it's important to have things like that because there's already existing downtime rules in D&D, but for an Acquisitions Incorporated franchise, the downtime rules really cover a lot of like growth opportunities, and they sort of exist in the background, and the employees that you have are tasked with these things.
Yeah.
So that the business is always working.
I'm surprised you allow for downtime in this.
Oh, well, even the downtime can be quite profitable in this. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. But
Well, I want to make sure we have time to get to
Yeah.
the leading
Oh, yeah.
product managing, because that's adding a lot of value to
Yeah,
what's happening here.
What was your role here?
My role is we wanted to make it really special on how we sell it on our online store.
yeah.
store.penny-arcade.com.
Always be branding.
Wanted to do something really special, and so Kiko, our director of design, had created our Penny Arcade pin, which is the stained glass.
This is the one. I haven't seen it yet.
green
No,
flame
it
pin.
is in person. It's ridiculous.
And just to make this, just to show how special this book is to us and Acquisition Incorporated Penny Arcade, if you purchase it on our online store, you actually get a free pin to go along with it.
Nice.
Just like as a thank you for being a part of Acquisition Incorporated and making your own franchise.
Making your own franchise.
No.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
No, it's very good.
Oh, yeah.
It is. I'm very, very pleased. But like I say, so the very last little sliver of the book essentially takes, the 10-year history of Acquisitions Incorporated, some of the personages like, RPCs, for example, a few notable NPCs, all the player characters from Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team, is going to play a game in one of these pods later today.
Yeah.
Those are all statted up in the same way that you would see a monster statted up.
They're all in here?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So all the characters that we know, and then extra NPCs to confound and delight monsters from Penny Arcade and AI lore like the Deep Crow. But we have all kinds of stuff. But yeah, like I say, and then there's monsters, but there's other NPCs to confound and delight. But then each of the characters is,
that's amazing.
But they're broken out with character histories,
Oh my God.
up to now, and then but they're stat blocked like monsters, so they can be run at the table easy. They're not like character sheets.
Right.
They're blocked out like they're blocked out like
such a
a
good
creature
idea.
of their level.
Right. Or an NPC that you just drop in and this is what
Exactly.
you do when you interact with them.
Exactly. And my fantasy is that people will put this to use any way that they want, but it's totally fine with me, for example, the whole Acquisitions Incorporated thing is essentially like a sort of like a dark office comedy, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if people secured this volume and then literally put it to work dismantling the company. And this is Dungeons.
You're okay with that?
This is Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I think that you could make a pretty good moral case for why this company should be destroyed. And so, obviously, if you want to take that up, everything that you need to annihilate my beloved home game is all here for you.
Nice.
That's very generous.
I feel like Kate annihilated a little bit last night. What was happening there?
Kate Welch is such a treasure. When she started as Rosie Beestinger in Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team, our weekly stream game that starts at 4 p.m. PDT, Twitch. All right, but we really wanted to invite her in to play because I knew that she would love it. And now she works at Wizards of the Coast.
Now she's leading projects.
I know.
And then
she ran a game for my PC from 10 years ago on stage last night, live. It's that arc, and she murdered it. Like I don't know how she could have done it better.
I know. She's amazing.
It was very funny.
Shocking.
And then you guys, of course, have been setting up all your merch and stuff here for fans that are coming in.
Yes, you can. We're doing a hex chest giveaway from Elderwood each day, today and tomorrow by 4 p.m.
Oh, cool.
So stop by and sign up for it if you're here.
Lydia, are there any other delights?
Yes. What else?
At the booth.
At the
Turkish
booth.
delights.
Turkish delights. I have Acking lanyards that I'm giving away, as well as some Penny Arcade pins.
There are lanyards. Consider it.
Lanyards.
Oh, very nice.
But and also we have the copy of the book if you just want to look at
through it
and just touch it a little bit.
And the Dungeon Master screen.
And the DM screen, yes.
So we put together a DM screen. It's based on like the classic 5e screen. So it covers a lot of the same content of the 5e screen, but it's all a parody of it. So in that middle section where it talks in the 5e screen, it sort of breaks down all the different conditions and things like that.
Right.
We have all different nonsense conditions. There is not and I stand by this. There is not a single useful piece of information in this entire DM screen. Not one. And
Excellent.
it's a 4-panel screen.
That's what we want.
Nonsense end to end.
It's just a pretty face, basically.
Yeah.
It's just a pretty face.
The pretty face is on the outside. Within,
It's an ugly face on the inside.
Within,
just like our cold dark hearts.
Exactly right. Well, within, savage jokes about mechanics. It's great.
Which is also on pre-order on our store right now.
Is that so?
What?
Well, how can they get all these incredible values?
If you just go to store.penny-arcade.com, also there is a coupon code if you sign up on our newsletter.
Hey.
Excellent.
For 10%.
Who doesn't like a discount?
I'll subscribe to that
Me
newsletter.
too.
I love discounts.
I'm subscribing right now.
Everyone loves a discount. Thank you guys so
In my
much for
mind.
stopping by. Thank you for being here. Thank you for performing
this.
last night.
Thank you for this.
getting all the products going. I'm really excited.
Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome.
You guys are the best.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Sweet.
Ooh, don't forget your.
All right, we are
yes,
going to
thank
take
you.
just a quick break. 1 minute, even less, and then get going with our next guest, which is Roll20.
Roll20.
All right.
So in Baldur's Gate, the Descent into Avernus, you have contracts, these infernal contracts. What do players get out of them, and what do the devils get from them?
So the players can get anything from assistance, they can get items, they can get gold, they can get power. There's even possibility of gaining levels. So depending on what the player wants, the devils are more than willing to supply you with that.
Devils are the worst capitalist opportunists you'll ever meet.
But therein is the temptation, and therein is the problem, because the devils ultimately want your soul and they want your servitude. But they will pave that road with with gold and lovely things. They'll make it as easy for you to walk that slippery slope as possible. And so in the game, there's actually a chart that the DM can track these deals on, who the devil was, who made it with which character in the party. And they also can provide fine print, things that maybe the character doesn't know about. It's like if the character has failed on a roll, or if they don't, they're like, fine, whatever, I'll just sign it. If their back's up against the wall. Characters can also try to get out of death with a deal.
If a character has failed 2 death saves and is about to make their third, an archdevil could basically kind of whisper telepathically in their ear and say, I'll keep you alive. This is what it's going to cost you. And you can make that deal right then and there, and you'll get a natural 20 on your 3rd death save.
I love this.
Someone's going to take it.
So everyone's going to take it.
When you're in the 9 hells, you're in the devil's domain, and they're running that show, and they have control. The archdevils control each of their layers. So when you're on that layer, metaphysically, you are in the palm of their hand. They have absolute control metaphysically over that. So when you are down there, your wildest dreams can come true, but also your darkest nightmares as well. So beware.
Hell is hell, and you want it to feel like hell, where nothing ever goes right and no one really gets what they want.
Right.
Not even the people who rule the place get what they want. That's just the nature of hell.
Right. They have no one they can trust anyways.
Right. There are some mechanisms built into that the DM can use as well to sort of accentuate that idea. Like, bad things can happen when you roll a 1.
You can deal up in levels, you can deal up in power, you can deal up in hit points. Like you can make a deal just about for anything. And the higher the deal is, the more costly it's going to be to you. So the thing of like, you go into hell, only those who are really hold and stick to their values can come out of hell unscathed. And that was one of our themes that we had talked about in the story meetings, where it's like,
what you're going to do yet for
right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dragon Talk. I am Greg, this is Shelly, and we have Soraya and
Trivia.
Yes.
I
didn't want to get it wrong.
I know,
I want to make sure my trivia was correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. From Roll20.net.
Yes.
How are you guys doing?
DrillHomeNet.net. Doing great. I am so excited for this. I was here last year. Trivia did not get to go.
And
I didn't either.
Looked at everything and said, please, next year.
Yep.
And then it happened.
No FOMO.
Yeah.
No more
Not this year.
So for everyone who doesn't know, and I'm sure everyone does, what is Roll20 and how can they use it to play the Dungeons and the Dragons?
Roll20 is a virtual tabletop. So basically you just go into your web browser, roll20.net, and you can create a free account, and with the free account you can do pretty much everything that you could do at a physical table. You can upload maps, you can upload tokens, you can roll dice, use rulers to measure, like, okay, this is 30 feet, so this is where my spell reaches. We also sell D&D adventure modules, so things like, we were just talking about Tomb of Annihilation. You can buy Tomb of Annihilation, and Trivia's team has gone through piece by piece and made sure that every piece of content from the books is in there, but is also enhanced in some really really cool ways.
Yeah, so every map has dynamic lighting. Every monster is already
What does that
placed for you.
mean?
Oh, yeah. So if you are playing as a party member, right, you can only see as far on the map as your player can see. Or like, so you can't see
So you
around
can't
that
cheat.
corner.
You can't be like, oh, I totally have a torch.
And we have like
I do.
secret layers that are for the DMs only, and so they can hide monsters. And then as you go around that corner, boop. So that's great. And also we put some cool like interactive stuff in there, like the Gears of Hate map actually rotates a little bit for you. So if your players go and mess with the levers in that other room, now it'll be completely different.
Oh, you guys must have so much fun.
It is. It's really fun.
Just going through the books and then picking out things that you can really bring to life.
Yeah, and it's you know, the whole book text is there, but also you get to like really play in the space in a way that you can't necessarily get at the table. So I really enjoy putting that together.
I bet.
Yeah.
It's such a cool blend of digital and tabletop. Like I like how it's like, oh, but you're still playing the Dungeons and Dragons as you would, but like you can do the things that you can only do digitally, like moving the map like that so easily.
And playing with somebody in another state or country.
Right.
Yeah.
You bring people together.
Another planet even.
Or you could just be like me
Another
and
plane.
be lazy. I'm playing with people sometimes that are 30 minutes away, but I don't
It's so much easier.
Yeah, it's so much
Stay
easier.
in your PJs.
But yeah, it has built-in video and voice chat, so you can even, if you're playing with somebody remotely, seeing people's faces and hearing their voices as they're acting out these characters is one of the most important parts of playing a tabletop game.
Yeah.
So the voice and video chat is built in for free. Yeah. And we've also got pre-orders for The Descent, and we will have Ghosts of Saltmarsh ready on launch day, which I think is Tuesday.
Which is
coming right up.
Yes.
That's right.
So can you give us a little sneak peek about what are some of the cool things that
stuff?
you put for
So,
Ghosts of Saltmarsh?
In Ghosts of Saltmarsh, there are a whole bunch of different boats, right? So they give you a whole bunch of cool setups for different boats. We have turned all of those into placeable tokens on a map, so you can just drag in like battleship or excuse me, warship, and it's already got like attacks set up for you, and it's the right size, so you can just put your players on it like they're already on the ship. So there's a cool thing.
So cool.
Yeah, their team does great work. And we've got it actually, people who are here and want to buy it, we have, you could buy it from us at the booth.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
So
Yeah,
we have a
everyone
whole
who's here can purchase anything from Roll20 at the booth, right? Or
We
just
have
that?
3 things that you can buy from us in person, but if you want to get something that we don't have here, you can just go online and get it. We do have a special bundle here. The Monsters bundle is Volo's Guide to Monsters and the Monster Manual that is a D&D Live exclusive that people here can get for $10 off the regular price.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And so every monster in both of those books with fully statted character art tokens ready to pull to your table. All of their attacks are in, all of their spells are already set up for you. So you just pull it in and you click and it goes.
Yeah, it's literally, our character sheet is interactive. So if you want to cast a spell, if you want to use a weapon, if you want to do some kind of skill check, you just click it on the character sheet and it'll roll the dice for you.
That's so great.
That's
I love all
amazing. Do people use your system for when they're new? Because it seems like it would be an intuitive tool for like a new dungeon master, for instance.
Yeah, it is. And I really think that, especially with the modules, that makes it a lot easier. I was a new dungeon master when I started at Roll20. I had played in games, but I had not been a DM before. And so I picked up one of our modules. I'm playing through Curse of Strahd right now. But it really helps because you have all of that setup done for you already, you know?
Yeah.
Like I have to write, I do want to read through and like go through all the journal stuff, but it's organized really neatly by chapter, so I can find it, I can search it, and when I take my players from one map to the other, the monsters are already in place. And if they're supposed to be like a secret trap, they're hidden on the DM layer, so the players don't see them until they trigger the trap.
So they're already in place because you bought the module?
Yeah.
It's just already there?
Yeah.
So my team puts in, I want to say around 400-ish hours of setup for each module.
Oh my God.
And we go above and beyond what maybe a standard person putting a game together would do, but that's all there and you don't have to do it. You can just buy it, get in, and start playing. So
yeah.
And the Charactermancer.
We also have something called the Roll20 Charactermancer, which will take you through step by step how to build a character from scratch.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it comes with the SRD content already, but if you want to enhance it with things like
Player's Handbook.
Player's Handbook.
Volo's Guide to Monsters. You want to make some kobolds. You want to make some Wanti.
You do.
Yeah.
As you do.
Yeah, you can get those on Roll20, and they will automatically integrate with the Character Mancer. So as you're building it, it'll help you. It'll choose your stats. You choose your race, and then it'll automatically update your stats. You can choose your class, and it'll walk you through. If you choose a spellcasting class, it'll walk you through which spells you have available to you and help you select the right number of them.
Yes.
And if you're doing something custom, you can also customize it, so you can change those. But if you're just doing something that you want to go by the rules, and especially if you're new, it will walk you through step by step how to do all of the things. Yeah, and then it's just a character sheet that's ready to play. It's on the tabletop, and like I mentioned earlier, you click something, it rolls the dice, so it just takes care of all of that for you.
Oh my god! And then also when you level up, we just added leveling up too. So you can go from level 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like having your own little servant. Roll my dice.
Roll a dice for me. Make it happen. Make it so.
Roll me a d20.
And you guys have awesome costumes going on here, as well as
I
being
know, I really,
a big
your
map
makeup
that people.
is like
Thank you.
pulling
like-
me into your soul.
That's the intent.
It's just so cool.
I am evil, lawful evil, but evil indeed.
I am here for your evilness.
Yes.
And fans that are here, they can roll a dice and do what?
They
for
need
your
to.
map?
They can go on an expedition into Avernus with us.
Oh, I'll
and
go.
We're seeking knowledge of what people might find in Avernus. So come and help us
visit our
fill out
booth.
our map.
Yeah, so basically what we've done is we have this map of Avernus, and people come up to our booth, and we have big pink Roll20 die, and you give it a shake, and whatever number you get kind of shows where you did your adventuring, right? So maybe on your adventure you found a monster that has never been seen before. So you draw it on a little piece of paper and you stick it to the board. Maybe on your adventure, somebody else's adventure, they encounter your monster, and they also encounter a trap. So they say, oh, when I was on my adventure, I saw this monster and saw this trap, but I survived, right? So over the course of the weekend, we're excited to see what people add, the stories that they create, and build our own sort of interactive map of Avernus, which we feel is very Roll20 is all about bringing people together to create these things, and we have here at D&D Live people coming from all over to literally create a map together. So that's pretty much what we're doing.
D&D.
Yeah, and then we also, for participating, we give people a bunch of tokens. I'm not sure if
a dastardly demons token pack.
Oh.
And the art was done by Trivia, who is a fantastic
You
artist.
are multi-talent over there.
And if you come see our booth, I decorated it. So
Yes.
It looks very painted
Paint
and cool.
pen.
I'm gonna
I
come
love
over
it.
and get my makeup done.
if you bring it with you, I'll do it.
You can have a smoky eye.
I want a smoky gold eye.
I can't do a cut crease, but I'll help you with anything.
Well, thank you guys so much. I love everything about Roll20, everything you guys
awesome.
are doing. It sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Awesome.
Awesome. And we know where people can go, right?
Right. Well, it's
Roll20.net.
Dot Newt?
Newt?
.net.
It's
Not?
N-U-W-T.
No, Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Oh,
Net.
like you're casting a
Yeah,
net
yeah,
wide.
yeah.
Ah, I see. Makes perfect sense. All right, cool. Well, we'll be back with Gale Force 9 very soon. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All
So
right,
in
go
Baldur's
ahead and
Gate,
take
the
off your
Descent
mics.
into Avernus, you have contracts, these infernal contracts. What do players get out of them, and what do the devils get from them?
So the players can get anything from assistance, they can get items, they can get gold, they can get power. There's even possibility of gaining levels. So depending on what the player wants, the devils are more than willing to supply you with that.
Devils are the worst capitalist opportunists you'll ever meet.
But therein is the temptation, and therein is the problem, because the devils ultimately want your soul, and they want your servitude. But they will pave that road with with gold and lovely things. They'll make it as easy for you to walk that slippery slope as possible. And so in the game, there's actually a chart that the DM can track these deals on, who the devil was, who made it with which character in the party. And they also can provide fine print, things that maybe the character doesn't know about. It's like if the character has failed on a roll, or if they don't, they're like, fine, whatever, I'll just sign it.
All right,
if their back's up against the wall, characters can also try to get out of death.
Good to go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dragon Talk. I'm Greg.
I'm Shelly.
You're Shelly this time. You're
Yeah.
JP.
I'm JP.
From
Hello.
Gale Force 9. Hello.
Yay.
Yay to you.
Thank you.
Yay to you! You have so much to talk about.
We do. We have.
I feel like we need to just like jump in there.
Let's jump in. The guys have got some slides lined up, so we'll kick off with a few things that we've got coming.
All
There's Saltmarsh screen images popping up anytime now.
Oh, the Dungeon Master screen
Dungeon Master screen
of ships in the sea.
Of ships in the sea.
Yes.
There's a Faerun mat. The vinyl mats are.
We'll talk a little bit about the Dungeon Master screen real quick. What's in it? What makes it cool?
It's basically all the parts from the module.
So we want to do the Dungeon Master screen right now.
Sea related. So, so that image is.
I guess
we'll go to you. Yeah, we'll work on
what's
you.
on the, that's slide 32 of 30.
We're going backwards.
So we're going to work.
We're going to go backwards. We can do that.
That's the creatures and NPC card deck.
Nice.
Which is exactly what it says on the pack, and will be coming towards the end of the year. If we change the slide.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. That's
There's
the beginning.
a beautiful
Wonderful.
Screen.
So, Ships of the Sea.
Look at that art.
It's some of the specific content from the module and some extra stuff that Chris wrote. Sea encounters, underwater stuff, and
Oh,
so
nice.
on.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Next slide is the Faerun map.
Maybe.
Map
of Faerun. People have
A
been
map of
asking about a
Faerun.
map of Faerun forever.
It's a cool map in
There
the
we
vinyl,
go.
and so that's all good. Those are both out next month. Next month in June.
In game stores or everywhere?
Yeah, no, everywhere. So this will run us through till the end of the year. So next slide up is our new. That's us again.
Hi, we're here.
Would be an Underdark paint set, which is a very cool set with a new Dritz figure in it.
Is it just like black and purple paint?
It's dark underdarky. It's purpley and red and dark. But it adds to the other two. Other two sets.
We got Dritz.
Next up is our August items, which there's the paint set. Vault of Dragons expansion for the game that adds clerics to the game.
You need them.
You need them, new locations, healing, magic items, hidden around those. So the next slide up will show that.
Maybe.
That's the one.
It is. Okay.
That's that one.
So
All right,
that's the Vault of Dragons.
and did you get the miniatures down there as well?
So you're getting minis. So in the 4 factions, for Manchun and Xanathar, the Castellantas and Bragandieth, you're going to get the 4 figures. You get a male and female cleric and a D8 in each. And that adds to your pool of resources in the game.
Very cool. All right, next slide.
Next up is the Volo's Guide to Monsters. Volos and Mordenkainen's get their monster card packs. That adds to the core 3. We're basically working our way through the collection and completing the set when we get to the end of the year.
That's awesome.
All right.
Next up is the beginning of our Descent.
Let's get on to
So the next
Descent.
slide. There's a big picture of a big fight scene. That's the front of the screen.
I love this Dungeon Master screen much.
It's a great piece of art.
It is
there wasn't a lot of thinking about what the front will be, and the back will be a whole bunch of cool stuff, which as soon as Chris and Mike and the team finish writing the module, we'll put in.
Right, and one of the coolest parts about this is that the artwork is not final.
The coolest,
it's awesome.
The actual artwork is the
coolest part was
is gonna be a little
listening
bit
to
different.
Joe and Chris yesterday debating about a new magic item that Torgar might have, which now I need to add to the model. So I love the on-the-fly stuff. So.
Yeah,
you do?
Well, it's part of it. 10 years of doing this now, it's part of the deal. So.
Exactly.
So the next slide up.
Okay, this is blowing my mind here.
So these are the first of the miniatures. So Zariel, that's her stage 1, 50mm base. So she's hovering in the air.
Oh my God, that's so amazing.
If we click the next one, that should be a nice rotational of her. So you can see her in a full painted glory.
Oh my God.
I know, it's all high tech.
She seems very angry.
So is she one of the unpainted?
So these are all
These are
unpainted
unpainted,
collector series.
People are going to have a lot of fun painting.
Now,
these.
one of the things we're just changing over, production tech for miniature design is changing rapidly, and one of the nice things is the new stage of being able to make hard plastic one-piece figures. So instead of having somebody have to build them, this series is all going to come ready done.
That's awesome.
Next slide up will show Mad Maggie,
Okay, she's amazing.
which everybody's got in their loot bag. So She is suitably.
She's
in the loot bag. Everybody's got one.
That's so great. Mad Maggie was the character that Jeremy Crawford played on stage last night. It was
very
quite
entertaining.
funny.
Very
it was a wedding.
entertaining.
I don't know if you know. There was like, well, it was a date. It was like a date.
Mad Maggie had a date?
Mad Maddie had a date with Dragon Draga.
Yeah.
It was quite hilarious.
It's must-watch TV. Next slide up will show Silvara, who's one of the characters that you're going to meet, and her Quasit. Following that, we're going to see Mahadi, who's behind us looking after the Wandering Bazaar. He's out there somewhere. There's Mahadi with the Rakshasa with the reverse thumb. Definitely a sculpting challenge.
He likes to call it as Mahadi's Traveling Emporium. Like that's the marketplace there that he's in charge of.
Then we have, next slide up is Thavius Krieg, who used to be a really nice overseer and
super nice, and
has ended up. He's got the extra pair of hands to help him.
His little webby hands.
He's webby hands and green and suitably fat and groggy.
Yeah.
Next one up, we'll see
oh my God, these
Lulu
are my
and Slobber Chops. These are in scale with the 30mm figures, so they're little, about a centimetre each. One flying, and Slobber Chops, which is probably the most angry cat slash.
That's like my cat.
Angry cat.
Angry cat.
Like a typical cat. But
like every cat.
Next slide, we'll have a look at the first of the two new figures for Joe. Krull, Torgar, and Arkan are all in the book, so we've made a new set. Krull, a suitably bad-tempered Tortle Death cleric with a maul and a Tiamat symbols and skulls.
Usually turtles, are nice.
Yeah. Joe even had us make him with a snapping turtle head and the spikes on the back. So
nice. I dig that.
Next one up is Torgar's
Steel Fist.
Everybody needs a Minotaur bodyguard, and Arkan's one is coming. This is what the figure looked like yesterday. Chris and Joe have agreed that now it's got some new magic gear, so that figure's going to have some adjustments to it.
Right. Well, and he's got steel fists. So it's like, why is he wielding swords?
He's got steel fists, and so there's a bit of work to go on that one.
Understood.
Next one up is a painter's model of Lulu. So we like the Lulu model. So she's about 3 inches high on a base. A really cool character in the thing.
Good.
So we thought we'd do that. Do a larger version.
All right.
The next few slides are our large beasties. This is Lucille, who's got a very deceptive name for a pit fiend.
Very cuddly.
Very cuddly.
Very deceptive.
The next slide is her rotational.
That was
so
my grandma's
Ooh, let's see the rotation.
So she is big and bad-tempered and blue. And interesting that a female pit fiend with that kind of gentle name,
and doesn't have good wing maintenance.
She's got
Avernus is a bit hot. You get a bit. Then our next couple of large ones.
Okay.
Get some demons.
We got.
Get your demons right here.
Next slide up will be Behemoth. He is another bad-tempered large-scale model. He's 22 feet high, so he's about the size of a storm giant.
22.
So he's about 10 inches high.
So what's the total height on this guy?
What
say down there?
It's 150 mil. But yeah, in game terms,
I was like,
he's storm giant height.
That'd be really hard to ship.
22
22
feet high box.
The logistics of that are crazy.
Well, that's coming. That's one of those new licenses, full scale.
Full scale
They'll
miniatures.
just show up at your house.
Yeah, they're giant miniatures.
And then our last one for Descent is Yunigu. Great opportunity to make some of the other demon and devil princes.
Make some gnolls.
And again, he's a decent size.
Gnolls.
He's a bit bigger than a hill giant, so stands about 6 inches tall. So in relative scale with the others.
Yeah.
That's a good guy.
Then
really.
we have a couple more card packs which hit during the Descent window. So these will be in November. That's that slide again. And it's creatures and NPCs.
Beautiful.
The basic stuff that you're going to use over and over again. And then to complete the series, the next slide is the end of the, these are epic monster cards. These are 5-inch square. The cards need to be big to fit it all on. You're not likely to use the Tarrasque card very often, but we wanted to complete the set.
But
so
if you need it.
Well, you've got everything from a small snake to a Tarrasque in the set now, but that concludes the monster cards at the end of the year.
Keeping busy.
Our last couple of things, we have the Beadle and Grimms, Matt and Bill
we got to see when they were here earlier.
Absolutely, they have some new miniatures. These two are going in their descent box, and some interesting debate between the two of them over how we package them together, because Matt was worried that Bill's model won't sell as well. Now Bill's seen the model, maybe we'll do them separately and have a bit of healthy competition. But,
I think that's a good idea.
The first time you'll get these will be in their box, which is good.
Very cool.
We also have some of the Waffle Crew figures that we've just finished off, which are coming. There's a couple more slides of those.
Right, keep next slide.
Next slide. And then you can skip the next, click to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
And the next one. And then last few slides are the large pieces, which finish us off.
Okay.
For the
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That was a painted bust. That's a 1/6 scale Minsk and Boo bust. If you can go back one, that would be cool.
Can we go back one?
Can we go back one? Maybe not.
There we go. Yes, Minsk and Boo.
So that's what they're going to look
that
like.
it's a bust.
6 inches high, fully painted. We've made a few really to see how people enjoy them. Minsk. Next slide was Dritz. He's definitely one that you're going to have to be careful where you put on your shelf, because his double scimitar sticking out the side
makes sense.
will spiky and next slide up will show that.
And then the Dritz one.
And then the Dritz one.
Next.
That's the Dritz one, side on, so in the same scale relative to each other. And the final one, which is
Elminster.
A work in progress of
God,
Elminster.
Oh, that's so great. I love all the spell effects on that one.
That's basically June to Christmas.
Wow.
So
Keeping busy.
we've been busy
Yeah, the
and
effects
lots
are awesome.
coming. And the descent stuff's great because we're further ahead than ever before, which is wonderful. And with this being a month earlier, it was even more wonderful. It helped move the schedule forward.
There you
So
go.
Awesome.
Yeah, no.
Well, thank you for taking us through your whole line. That was pretty amazing.
Everything on
where?
gf9.com. I mean,
So
this
in
weekend's
Baldur's
going to be
Gate, the
berserk
descent
with
into
information, so we'll
Avernus,
follow up
you
with
have
bits and
contracts,
pieces as we
these
go.
infernal contracts.
Well, thank you very much. That was
Thanks
awesome.
for walking us through all that.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot. Okay, good. We got back. So thank you, JP. That was great. I can't
That's
wait.
all right.
And Gale Force 9 to say it one more time, just in case everybody hears it.
Yep, no, so it's gf9.com website, so we're nice and easy to find. So.
Excellent. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much. We're going to be back with Dungeon Masters Guild very soon. All right. Ooh. All right, I need to run to the bathroom.
Out of them, and what do the devils get from them?
So the players can get anything from assistance, they can get items, they can get gold, they can get power. There's even possibility of gaining levels. So depending on what the player wants, the devils are more than willing to supply you with that.
Devils are the worst capitalist opportunists you'll ever meet.
But therein is the temptation, and therein is the problem, because the devils ultimately want your soul and they want your servitude. But they will pave that road with with gold and lovely things. They'll make it as easy for you to walk that slippery slope as possible. And so in the game, there's actually a chart that the DM can track these deals on, who the devil was, who made it with which character in the party. And they also can provide fine print, things that maybe the character doesn't know about. It's like if the character has failed on a roll, or if they don't, they're like, fine, whatever, I'll just sign it. If their back's up against the wall. Characters can also try to get out of death with a deal.
If a character has failed 2 death saves and is about to make their 3rd, an archdevil could basically kind of whisper.
It's worth the work.
Hello, welcome back to Dragon Talk. I'm Greg.
I'm Shelley.
And this is Dave.
I wish I was Greg or Shelley.
I wish I was you. Earlier, I was telling you we had a lower third out, and I was you.
That is next level cosplay.
That is true.
Did you guys enjoy my Shelley cosplay earlier?
It worked out. It worked out.
Awesome.
So B. Dave Walters, you are here, and you are here, and you are clear to talk about A Darkened Wish.
Yes, a little comic book I write with my co-creator and artist Tess Fowler, IDW Publishing. It has been insane.
How crazy is this? I feel like this happened pretty quickly.
It all did happen super fast. And just from last year to be here at Streaming Many Eyes, and then get to experience that, and this year to be here with the book and the shows and the getting to play on the main stage, it's insane. Just to be a part of it.
Whirlwind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you always fancied yourself a comic book writer?
Yes, I always fancied myself a writer, period. I think I told you guys this story before, that the very first thing I ever wrote was a story I submitted to Dragon Magazine, which was, again, objectively awful. It's written on notebook paper. No. I'm sure there was a jelly stain on it. It was probably very clear that a child wrote this when I sent it in. I tell myself that was when Perkins was editor.
I was going to say, it could have been him.
Yeah, he rejected him.
Just throw it. Yeah.
This guy will never make it. Never.
Yeah, but hey, now I've had content in Dragon, so I made it. I took the long way around, but I made it.
But you got
here. You are.
But you got here.
You literally started from the bottom.
And you're still pretty close to the bottom. Here on Dragon Talk.
Word is,
you were up there and
hell.
now you went back down.
No, we're in the abyss.
We have descended.
Yeah, we have descended. We are literally
at
the bottom. So started from the bottom, now we're lower is the new thing.
But there is AC in hell, which I'm very happy about.
True. True.
It's not that bad, you guys.
A little bit.
It's just not
No,
that
because
bad.
I will start to glisten.
Right.
I will.
It's your beautiful, sparkling personality.
So, speaking of which, what's special about A Darkened Wish? I've read the first issue.
Yes.
Which is very good.
Yes, thank you. What I wanted to do when we were writing the story was I really wanted to get back to some of the iconic adventuring groups, of Dritz, of Caramon and Raceland, of all of those parties that we've grown up with, which of course you can't force. You can only try and create characters that people are going to care about and want to journey with. And I wanted it to be a story where we took it very seriously. That it is a hardcore, intense fantasy epic. There's definitely some lighthearted moments, but I keep telling people, especially because it starts so sweet and lovely, as is my way to lure you in. But I'm like, you guys, it's a hardcore story, and they're like, oh, I love them. I hope nothing bad happens to them, and I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah. But I mean that's what a hero does, rises to the occasion, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's but more than anything, it's been great to just be able to add a link in the chain of the Forgotten Realms. And I went back and I researched a lot of the older stories, all the way to the very first story, Darkwalk on Moonshay. They reference a lot of that. I brought characters back from old second edition adventures and made them old and put them there. There's characters from this that I made young and put them there.
Oh, nice.
And I think now that this is out in the wild, you'll see some things in the book that you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I know that guy. And I'm like, you do know that guy. Yes, you do.
Because of what I have put in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag Easter eggs.
Yes,
yeah.
we talked a lot leading up to this about how what the stories were going to happen, what we're going to.
This is true. I was so afraid of saying too much and spilling the beans.
I know.
It's literally hard for me to talk about this now.
I know. I'm still getting nervous.
I don't want to
it's actually okay now, and I'm still Can I? I'm like, don't hit me, Greg. Yeah, right. I'm like, yeah.
I don't know how we kept it under wraps for so long. It was very difficult, but we did it.
Yeah, I had multiple conversations with people who had like read all the same things I had, but everybody was being so careful. It's like, that one part. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you know?
The part with
I don't know if you know what I
nudge,
know.
wink, wink.
Yeah, with the
Say
person.
no more.
Right, yeah. Okay, right. We're gonna put that thing there. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Nice. But now you're gonna talk about it for reals, and it's like, here it is.
Yeah, that is. Well, I will say that this is one thing that is true. Is Zariel features very prominently in the Descent storyline. Zariel also features very prominently in mine. I will say that.
Ooh.
Yes.
Very cool.
Say that.
I'm in.
That's a spoiler right
Sold.
there. That's a good one. So issue 1 is out.
Yes.
When is issue 2 coming out? I'm giving you release dates.
Soon. Yeah, right. That's the the supplement thing. Like, when's the next book coming out?
Right.
Soon. It's at the printers. I mean, it's done. It exists.
Is it at the printers?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's done. Your work is done.
But my work was done months ago.
Nice.
but I mean, I've seen a proof. It exists. It exists.
It'll be in stores very soon, hopefully.
Very
we'll find
soon.
out more
So
about
you
that.
can get issue 1 now.
Yes,
So you might as well start with that now.
Believe it or not, and this is true, and I want to say thank you to all of you because you made this happen. Every copy that exists of issue 1 sold out in 72 hours.
Oh,
72
I stand
hours.
corrected.
Yeah, so I
No
feel
way!
Hopefully they've printed more. Check your local comic shop. There's always Comicsology.
Keep asking for it.
Those are champagne problems, by the way.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, oh, I can't find it. I'm like, I know. It's because it's sold out.
Darling, it's sold out in 72 hours.
It's a hit, people.
It's true. I'm sorry.
When you find out when issue 2 is coming out, get it as soon as you can because it's going to sell out.
Yeah, put
It's
it
going
on
to be
your
a
pull
4-issue series?
5.
5.
Yeah,
Whoa.
5.
All right.
Yeah, and it's good times. And we are. I was just talking to Tess because she's here. We're doing a signing right after this.
Right.
And talking about where we are with the story, where we want to go with the story, and it's been a really great experience. And
Awesome.
again, thank you.
I'm very excited.
And first of all, thank you for this. Thank you for all of this. And thank you for being vital in the story and being a part of the process and helping me tie it in with the Descent. All that literally wouldn't have happened without you, and I appreciate that.
I like to make things happen. It's like a bump, and then you're just there to spike it
Love
down.
that.
Spike it down.
I told you, I try not to cause problems. I try.
You're a problem solver.
I try. The day's not over. There's still plenty of time for me to ruin something.
That will happen.
Yeah,
It'd be
right.
disappointing if not.
But we're going to solve one problem by letting you get out of here and get
to your
meeting with some
signing.
fans.
It's again, that's how hard my life is. That it's
Yep.
like, I'm sorry, I've got to run.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. And then you'll be
Sorry, I'm
here
late for my
in a little
signing.
while to do this as well.
Yes.
More talking about things.
I will be doing more talking about things. And sorry, you're going to get to see behind the curtain now. When is this going to go on? Because I want to know. Have they seen the main stage game tonight, or will they see this before the main
This
stage?
is all live.
Oh, this is live.
So
What?
this is live.
What? We can't fix that in post? I just dropped my mic and that's going to be in? Oh, no.
It's in. No,
yeah,
no.
well, hey,
It
main
makes
stage.
you feel like a real person.
We're doing it live. You're going to do that tonight.
Doing it live, yeah. Be on with Mercer, Jim Zub, Deborah Ann Wall, Anna Proser, me, Mika Burton tonight.
Tonight,
Gonna be a good time.
8:15.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's going to be off the, well, no, it's 7:15. 7:15.
7:15.
7:15.
Pacific.
Pacific time.
Yes,
Correct.
Pacific time.
It is very specifically Pacific.
Pacific.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dave. You are the best, and
Thank
we'll
you.
make all this
Thank you.
happen.
Wait,
People are finding out.
Oh, wait, I don't have
I'm
to
doing a
Bring it
in.
stealth snuggle with the handpan. I got it all.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. We'll be back in just a couple minutes with someone. I'm not sure who next. Someone will be up next.
System's collapsing.
Duke it out, man.
You can do it at the same time, actually. It might work too. All right.
That's true.
Bye, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi everyone, we are back with Dragon Talk. I am Greg. This is Shelley.
This
Who are
is
you?
Doug.
Doug Davison.
Jim Page.
John Gregory.
From Fantasy Grounds.
Yay!
Yay! We like to applaud you. Everything
like
that you
applause.
do. Mostly because of your costumes.
I
You
know,
look so
you all
good.
look amazing.
That's all courtesy of Jen. She helped us coordinate all together so that we showed
You
up
did all this,
cohesively.
Jen?
I helped.
Yeah.
This is a typical
She's the brains of our operation.
That's what we hear.
Right? They're not in costume.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm the one who's in
This is a
costume.
Saturday.
Yeah, this is normal.
Regular Saturday wear.
I love it.
No
Well,
one
you
actually-
actually do look very comfortable.
No one actually blinked an eye in LA at all. You just walk around and everyone just assumes you're just a normal person here.
Yeah, I mean, you can get away with that stuff here.
It works.
For sure. For sure. Your headpiece is amazing.
Thank you.
But that's not
the
what we're here
bird
to
skull.
talk about.
No.
Although it's interesting. What are we here? What's new with Fantasy Grounds?
So the new thing with Fantasy Grounds is our new version of our software. We just started a Kickstarter on May 1st. It's over like 1,000% funded.
Yes.
1,000% with like 14 days left. It's Fantasy Grounds Unity, which is just a new iteration of our software that's got 64-bit support. It's got new features like line of sight and opening and closing of doors and advanced fog of war. Some cool new effects with terrains and doors and stuff that we're working on. That's a new take on kind of like the old line of sight, thing that people expect when they play. Just really increases the immersion a lot. Cool new effects. You can make it rain on the map and snow and mist.
Make it rain.
Making it rain. Yeah. We're going to add a graphic of you doing that thing.
I think actually you have
But
to
it's going to
now.
be coins that are flying out instead of period
You guys
specific.
have
It's
like
got to fit the setting. Yeah.
What was the old Connect thing, right? Where you can do like, if you do this, that's when it rains.
Yeah,
on
make
the
it
thing,
rain.
right?
Make it rain.
I think you
yeah.
have to now.
Yeah.
You need
I
to
like
be an
it.
NPC.
All right, I can do that for sure. That's
Yeah.
so cool. I remember seeing a prototype of this. I don't know.
We've
a long
been working
time
on
ago.
it for a while, and so people that have kind of followed Fantasy Grounds have always been like, "Is this a real thing? Are you guys really still doing that?" And then we kind of went quiet for a little while as we got closer and closer. And now we're nearing the beta phase, and so if you're in the Kickstarter, you can participate in the beta. It's going to officially launch in December is when we're targeting, and it just lots of really cool new features and stuff. And so Carl had joined us from Tabletop Connect many years back, and he's been like busy behind the scenes doing all the plumbing and stuff, and some really, really crazy cool stuff with painting awesome stuff on top of maps. With you take one graphic and you can make make a bottomless pit that you just paint across your map, and it looks like the map fades into nothing. And so really, really cool stuff. Check out the Kickstarter. We got all kinds of videos that show and highlight those specific features.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then
we have all of the existing content that official D&D content. It's all ready to go the same day it's released in the stores, and that all still works on the new platform. And then we've
Was
been
that a
enhancing-
challenge to do that with the
Oh,
programming,
yeah.
trying to make sure it all would work?
The big thing is like making a new program backward compatible, like with everything an old program does. That's a big challenge. And
Right,
that's one of
yeah.
the reasons that it's taken so long for us, is because we didn't want to break everything that people had built for our platform. And so just bringing all that forward, but then also making the experience better, making the networking experience better, improving the amount of memory you can use and the amount of assets you can get to while you're playing, stuff like that. It's like, because we want everyone to be able to use all the stuff that they bought in every game instead of having to pick and choose which pieces they use.
Because we have people that would buy on Steam or on our site or actually like DM's Guild. So all these people have created these amazing adventures, and they've made Fantasy Grounds versions of those that you can get on DM's Guild, or you can publish yourself, in our software. So that stuff all has to work. Because if it only worked with their old version, then the new version, they'd be like, well, I'm going to lose access to this. So we want to just, everything will be better, basically. It's just, we're just pumping the volume up on everything. And so now you just get all the same stuff before, but now you got new features and functionality
But
you can
better.
add over time. But better, cooler, yeah. Like we have one part where like you could open up an image of a handout like Strahd, and it makes it look like parchment. You can fade them into parchment, or you can make it a sepia tone or grayscale. I mean, it's just cool, just all
That's
image
very
effects
cool.
and stuff that are really kind of cool little ways that you can make your campaign unique and different.
Is this the stuff that you do, Jen? Like the making things look really cool
Yeah, so-
and the graphic elements?
Right.
What is
yeah.
your role here? Because are you new to the team?
I am
Okay.
since November.
All
So
right.
Still learning the ropes and everything, but yeah, I'm helping out with graphic design and marketing. Yeah.
She's been redesigning all of our, she has our new kind of logo. She's been
Yeah.
working on all that sort
Slowly
of stuff.
but surely,
She's going to
yeah.
be reskinning our entire, interface, basically. So
Oh, wow.
Just
Yeah.
amazing artwork, and she does it. She's too humble to mention it, but she does a fantastic job of just making everything look way more polished, way more colorful. Also, I mean, that's something that we have programmer technical graphic skills, and
Yeah.
so it's you can tell a difference
It's a
when
special skill set,
she
for
puts
sure.
something together and shows it to us, and we're like, oh, that looks really awesome.
Way better than so what's that like translating from
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's fun. Just because I've been a gamer for so long and to be able, so I have that perspective to bring to it as well.
Yeah.
And then just to have someone dedicated just to the look and feel of things is just really cool to add that flavor to the team.
Is there going to be a tiefling theme to Fantasy Grounds coming out soon?
Yeah, is this a hint?
Yeah,
A little foreshadowing.
Nice.
I love
Could be, could be.
I like it.
So when we used to work together, so you mostly worked on like analog products, right? Or did you do a lot of
no?
the
Well,
digital?
when I was at Wizards, I was the web designer for D&D.
So you have
it's
those
always
skills
been
to-
kind of digital
to translate into.
Oh yeah, completely. No, I haven't worked in print in years. So
print.
Print. What's
What
print?
is that?
This thing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Print is more pixels. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have some Ghosts of Saltmarsh
Ghost
content
of
coming.
Saltmarsh will be
Yeah.
out, on launch. I guess it's the 21st. I think is when it is.
20.
Yeah.
21st, yeah, Tuesday the 21st.
It's set to automatically do the stuff. It just automatically goes out.
It's just going to be there. People are going to log in on the 21st and
It'll just be there and ready. And we always do a 12:01 a.m. launch. This is when we always do our launches. And
Good
we're
little tip.
just kind of push it out there. So, and we'll have people that are sitting there, and they race each other and elbow each other out of the way in the digital world to hit the button first and claim first. First person that buys it and then does it, then that's like bragging rights in the
yeah, just get like a
realm,
special badge for that.
Special badge. They need a special badge for that.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, they deserve it because they're there every time the new thing launches. D&D has got just this amazing following where people just hover at the last minute and they're just ready to go.
They're
So
hungry for the content.
Yes,
Awesome. Well, I'm very excited about what's going on with the Kickstarter and everything going towards
1,000%. That's awesome.
Yes.
That speaks to the work that you guys are doing.
11 days left.
Something like that. I
Just
guess
about
it's
the 29th?
Yeah, the 30th, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's through the 30th. If you're involved with the Kickstarter, we have everything's been already unlocked, and we're trying to scramble to find new things to unlock because it just blew past, all the goals. So the stuff that we're adding for the unlocks are always new assets and new cool stuff. Like, oh, do you want to paint with this cool paintbrush that looks like lava? Sure, let's add that to the program. And
Wait, did you make the paintbrush that looks like lava?
Not yet, but I'm.
But now I have to. It's on my list.
We've got a big long list.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, where can we drive people to find out more if they don't know about how to get into Fantasy
So
Grounds?
you can go to fantasygrounds.com. On our forums, we have links to the Kickstarter directly, or you can just look for Fantasy Grounds Unity on Kickstarter, and you'll see us there with all of our cool new stuff. Also, Steam's got a big sale going on, D&D sale, that we're participating in that.
Nice.
So if you want the old version of Fantasy Grounds to keep you, busy and entertained while you're there, there's an easy upgrade path where you can just upgrade as a rookie, and you pay a small. It's a very heavily discounted upgrade to our new version that's going to be coming out in December. So you get both, the best of both worlds.
Love it.
That sounds
awesome.
good.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for these awesome costumes.
Yeah, you guys look great.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm going to go make some contracts back here, and I'm sure it'll work
Sign
out
them.
fine.
Sign them. Sign all the packs.
All the
Don't even read them.
contracts.
Just sign them.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
That's spoken like a true brand manager right there.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you everyone who's been paying attention to everything going on with Dragon Talk. We will be back here tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. We'll have more coffee, more tea. My voice will be worse.
It will.
It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Test 1, 2.
Hello, test 1, 2, 3.
Test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2.
Oh, test 1, 2, 3.
Hi everybody, my name's Tanya and welcome to the Roll for Inclusion discussion live from D&D Live 2019, The Descent. And I want everyone to introduce themselves and then we'll get right into the discussion. So,
Hi, my name is Erica Ishii. Should we say a little bit about ourselves? Okay.
Yes.
I'm a voice actor. You might know me from my work on Geek and Sundry and LA by Night. I'm also currently in the College Humor Dropout campaign, Escape from the Blood and Keep.
Hi, I'm Carl Pierre-Lewis. I run the PLC and TTRPG's Twitter. I talk about, the need for more people of color in the industry to be seen and heard for all the great work that we're doing, and that's like my main focus.
Hello, I'm Mark Meir. I'm the voice of Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect trilogy, among other games, including all the classic Dungeons & Dragons games from Beamdog, Baldur's Gate 2, etc., etc. And I've also had the opportunity to guest on LA by Night with Erica.
and joining us soon will be B-Day Walters, who is busy signing. So as soon as he can get away from that, he will join us. So I wanted to talk about, for all of us, why not just diversity, because diversity turns into a buzzword a lot of times. It's a thing people do versus believing in. Why inclusion is important to all of us and why it's important specifically in the RPG space.
Right. Actually, I was curious if we wanted to sort of define the difference between the two.
Okay. So for those watching at home, diversity is kind of like the checkbox where it's like we've got one of each. It's a Color Benetton ad. It's not quite doing the thing because you should do it. It's more, we don't want people to yell at us, and so we're going to be diverse.
So tokenism.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. And then inclusion is actually bringing people to the table, inviting them in, keeping them at the table, making sure they're fed, either literally or metaphorically, and making sure they grow and they thrive and bringing everyone else with them until you don't have to think about the fact of who's missing.
Yeah, it's the idea of giving them the option of wanting to come to the table, not, hey, invite everybody to the table, but making sure that they feel welcome, they feel like they can stay there, they don't feel like any issues that might pop up fall on their shoulders solely. They know that they can speak with anybody present about issues without feeling like, do I want to feel like the problematic, angry black man, angry black woman, they just want to be there.
Yeah.
I'd say in the sense that we're speaking of today, the diversity thing would be like, we let one person in through the door, then we closed it. Yep. Whereas inclusion would be, the doors are open. Anybody can come in if they want.
Yeah, it's not like you got your one, we shut the door and we locked it. And Carl, because your Twitter presence and your advocacy is about getting more people involved, making people aware of the issues or the lack of diversity and inclusion, what kind of prompted you to start talking about it? Because not a lot of people either take that dive, they don't, or they're like, I don't want people to yell at me on the internet, I'm not going to talk about it.
I mean, it's the fact that, yes, I know there's so many awesome people in the community, but so many others just aren't heard. They're not seen. Or when we bring up issues, you have people saying, for example, boo for inclusion, or something like that. They're just like, why do we need this? Where it's usually the people who are the majority in this community who they've never had to deal with not seeing themselves. So when people, they come in and say, I want to see more people like me. I want to see me represented in the media that I consume. And some people, I don't know why they push back against that. So it's getting people seen. that is a big issue. It's not the lack of presence, it's the lack of visibility.
Yeah, actually the lack of visibility is an interesting thing because it happens on, of course there are like the trolls and the people that outright don't want diversity for whatever reason, it bothers them, but then there are people who are pushing for diversity or who say like, hey, like we should be including more people. One thing that I do see a lot of is call out culture, which as opposed to seeing a lot of that, I would love to see more sort of call in culture where as opposed to like saying like, oh, these groups don't have diversity, I'd love to see the groups that do have diversity highlighted. For instance, I know that articles came out about lack of diversity in the scene, but then they didn't mention for instance Rivals in Waterdeep or Sirens of the Realm or any of the other shows that do such a lot to promote diversity, or
LA by Night.
or LA by Night, or that have diverse casts and are telling interesting stories with those voices.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Mark?
Well, ultimately, the inclusion factor, you always like to see yourself represented on screen. And so for myself, I'm of East Indian descent, or Indian descent, and we still haven't seen, say, an Indian superhero, unless you're talking about Bollywood movies, because they've got lots of them. They've got
they've got a couple of versions of Superman.
But if you're talking about, say, North American movies and whatnot, or even comic books, there are very few Indian characters in comic books. We just saw, for example, Aquaman, which was the first, as far as I know, multiracial superhero that was put up on the screen. In many ways, I wish I had had that as a kid, to be able to see that. And I think it's a great thing that multiracial kids have that today. One of the biggest international superhero movies of all time.
Yeah.
I do have to say, and again, I love highlighting the instances that we do see that are starting to push those boundaries. So seeing in Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, I grew up playing, I think I came in at like 3rd edition or something when I was younger, and seeing now like the different diverse faces in the books, seeing them say, oh, you can identify whatever gender your character might see. So it's like canonically there is like non-binary and trans in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, or sexualities, and seeing all those represented has been really wonderful. Now I am enjoying seeing the groups that are starting to try and push those and include those in their campaigns. Because I think all of us grew up playing these games and being geeks.
I've been playing since OD&D.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I started playing in 1981 at the age of 10. So yeah, I've seen it come a long way.
I mean, admittedly for me, 5e was my first D&D, but like role-playing games and all that, it's nothing new to me. It's stuff that I've known for years, and a lot of fantasy books, Dragonlance books, that's what really got me in.
Dragonlance!
Dragonlance.
Yeah. But it's like, even then you kind of notice this person, it's all just like a certain demographic. It's homogenous. So it's not, it's a constant, it's been happening for years, just various racism and gatekeeping, and where even when you're like, hey, yeah, you can play this game, but then there's like, oh, you're limited. You can only play this character. You're black. You can only play drows. Oh, there are no black elves. There are no such.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why would you limit yourself like that? So it's the idea of just opening the landscape to more options, more people, and just it builds and makes the game greater.
And now that Dave was able to join us.
The summoning ritual is completed.
We have B-Dave now. So
Exactly.
Who are you? And then I really want to hear what you have to say about the next question once you say who you are.
B-Dave Walters. I write Dungeons & Dragons: A Darkened Wish for IDW Publishing. I'm a streamer and a DM. I agree with literally everything everyone has said so far. Most of what Mark said so far, literally everything everybody else has said so far.
Wow, are you starting as soon as you get here?
Wow.
I'm behind. I got to catch up.
We differ on Aquaman. That was me.
It's true. Yeah, no, I just have to start with the grenade.
Wait.
So it's a good thing you're not sitting together is what you're telling me.
Yeah, we've got a buffer.
That is true. That is true.
But Dave and I, all of us have had various conversations, and for you, especially like the work you're doing, being on LA by Night, being very vocal, I want to know why inclusion, not just diversity, because we know diversity is now a buzzword, why it's important to you in the context of RPGs, but also just in everyday life, because look, I ain't gonna lie, none of us being brown have an easy time in this day and age.
Right. In A Darkened Wish, I made a point that we've got black characters, we've got non-binary characters, we've got, I don't want to say anything about some of the other implied relationships. Take the subtext to mean what you will. And I just think more than, the reason why inclusion is important to me is I think everybody needs to see themselves reflected in the media. They need to see themselves reflected both in a heroic form, in a villainous form.
That's another thing too. It's like once you open up and you include a bunch of people in a bunch of different roles, it's not as bad to have like a queer-coded character being a villain or like a black person being the first person to die, because like there's also a hero that's a black person, you know?
Right, because I think everybody needs something they can aspire towards, but also something that they're trying to move away from. You know, that it's like, oh, I want to be more like that person, but less like that person. And I think it obviously you can identify with any character. You know, I mean, there's plenty of people that identify with Arya Stark that aren't, you know, the 12 to 25-ish, you know, quasi-English ladies, you know, but still see something in that character. But it's different. I think somebody that is closer associated with Arya's exact demographic is going to feel something different when, you know, spoiler alert, well, I won't spoil it, when Arya puts in that work, if you know what I mean. You know, if you're a young girl and you see that,
you're like, wait, I can murder folks?
Yes! You know what I mean? Like, I can save the world? Yes! You know, and that's, everybody needs that. And I agree with you. And this is something that has come up more than once, is I'm actually very against the idea that some characters, I mean, I'm mindful of tropes, but that some characters have so much plot armor, you can't have this happen. Because this came up in one of our adventures. We had a character who was openly gay. You know, they had two dads and they were raising the kids, and one of the dads got killed. And quite frankly, the dad got killed because the narrative dictated this is when the dad would die. You know what I mean? This is the raising of the stakes. You guys go after revenge. You know, you go get the sword, come back, kill the wizard, blah, 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 right? But some people really had a problem with the fact that
because it's a bury your gaze trope.
Yeah, exactly. But we were like, but it wasn't though.
It wasn't. But the problem is that like in media at large, there's just like so much of that, and there aren't any like two queer people go to the grocery store together sort of stories, you know. So like once there are enough of those, just normalize. It's normalized. Then you can like do what the narrative dictates.
Right.
So since it came up, I want to talk a bit about tokenism, because this is going to be a real discussion, not always fluffy and light, because it's us.
Yeah.
But we were talking about representation on the Rivals Twitter, and unfortunately our only cast member is not here. Let's talk about how his character is a high elf, he's black and bisexual, and this is intentional because it's a reflection of who he is as a person. And immediately the first response, so he's a drow. And I had a moment, because in 2019 we're still going black elf equals drow. So let's talk about the ways in which, I guess, the lore or the fans or a combination thereof have enabled that immediate leap to black elf equals drow.
Black elf equals drow equals evil.
Right, I'm getting there, Dave. I'm getting there, Dave. So, you know, like my character is a black human, but they don't have that same kind of jump to that.
I think it's because most of the lore stems from very Eurocentric, you know, it's like all Tolkien and, you know, like the Voluspa, you know, the you know, like Scandinavian folklore, and so...
And of course, the elves are all very pale and whatnot, and the orcs are all described as quite swarthy.
Yes,
swarthy.
Swarthy.
I believe that word is used.
Yes, the pirates also,
yes,
you know,
exactly.
Swarthy. But the orcs are usually like dark and evil.
So it's all kind of pulling from that, from the fantasy realms of Europe, and they've done a lot better at sort of expanding that. But yeah, I think that there is so much room, especially after we've seen so many movies and so many tabletop systems of that sort of Eurocentric fantasy, which, you know, I obviously love. but there's room for so much more fantasy of so many other places all across the world that have like rich folklore and people of different skin tones.
Yeah, it's about breaking the biases that are just very inherent in most fantasy, especially fantasy. I mean, it's a lot of other media, but fantasy especially, where it's like the bias of most humans are going to be male or white. Most non-human races, especially like when they look a certain way, they're going to be very brutish, savage. They don't animalistic. They don't know what they're doing. And so, it's to save your human. So it's breaking those biases of this is the way it's been, this is the way it's supposed to be. And then when you have people of color, other marginalized people just saying, it doesn't have to be this way, I want to see myself. And then there's just that pushback. So it's a constant push to reshape the biases that people are used to and know into a better and wider range of choices.
I don't knock Tolkien for the world he created because he was a product of his time, and it was, you're right, very simple. The elves, fair, good, Mordor, everything's dark, bad, But we are starting to see an evolution of that. In The Hobbit, even though those movies had their other problems, at least we first got the concept that it's like, these wood elves are kind of assholes. Like the MCU sort of doing that with the Kree now. You know what I mean? It's like everything's beautiful and shiny, but you're like, wait, you're assholes too.
Yeah. And it was like, to be fair, not every fantasy genre or sort of fantasy setting has had that. Sort of like, I'm old enough to remember ElfQuest, the comic.
Right.
And they were very good about, they actually had the Wolf Riders, who were the pale-skinned elves, were actually like, quite barbaric and like, didn't really know that much magic. And then they introduced the tribe of brown-skinned elves, who were like very adept at using magic and like in many ways more civilized than the Wolf Riders were. So and that you chalk that up to Richard and Wendy Pinney and their work there. So there have been outliers, and I think we're just seeing more of a move in that direction.
And I will say I applaud Wizards of the Coast, and I've had this talk with them, because there was some content in recent years that didn't necessarily paint the brightest picture, but they said outright, like, we understand we made a mistake. How can we fix it? And that's where things like Rivals came from. This thing like my book came from. Like they reached out to the community, like, help us do better. And that's all you can do, because it wasn't malice.
That's another thing that I definitely want to address too, is the willingness to re-examine your work and to try and evolve it and to make it better. And like that, to me, deserves so much credit, because like nobody's going to be perfect the first time, and especially something that's sort of like has a storied history. Also, I actually really, you tweeted a thread the other day, actually I wanted to bring up too, about the monks. Monks as a class.
From PLC Gamer. Yes, he was talking about how it's very based in Asian traditions and all that. And so his idea is to just kind of move outside of that, where you can draw on more research instead of just stereotyping as Asian monks doing kung fu.
And there's a lot of different kinds of martial arts styles all over the world. And so in the end, it's not, one of the reasons that we want inclusion as opposed to diversity or tokenism is that not only does it let everybody have a seat at the table, but the table gets better because you have these diverse, interesting stories and you break out of these tropes and these things. I mean, people complain about having, like X number of fantasy movies or X number of superhero movies, but if you include more voices and diverse voices, you get really interesting stories in those.
Well, it's the expanded, fully realized idea, diversity of thought, where you draw on different cultures, different experiences, where people like me and we're both black men, but our experiences in life in certain regards are very different. And so we bring something very varied to the table. And so having just me or just him by ourselves at the table, while yes, you get something, you get less.
Yeah.
And so the more people you bring in, more experiences, just being very inclusive to as many people who don't look like you as you can. I mean, of course, there's a limit. You can't bring in everybody, but it's the idea of making sure that everybody feels like they can join if there's space, if there's a willingness to, if they have the time.
Or that they can tell their own story.
Yeah. So it's more, yeah, you can chime in, you can help, but let people tell their own stories and bring what they know to things.
Well, and it's also a lot of times, if you're not careful, you can be in a place where it's like you are the stand-in for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
again, not to cross the streams too much, but on our show, Vampire,
Right.
I was very acutely aware when I created Victor Temple, I was like, he will not be a criminal. Like, he will not be the black criminal dude. Like, he won't. You know, I mean, obviously, over the course of the narrative, he may have done some crime.
But he's not
But he's not the criminal. That's why he was so adamant. People are like, well, you're you're in hip hop. You must be selling drugs. I'm like,
What?
or I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, like, he really does run a clean business. And because I didn't want to lean into the hip hop equals crime trope.
Sure.
Because, you know, there's lots of ways to look at it and lots of ways to position a character. And again, I don't know necessarily how you've conceived of Annabelle, but this is me sitting at the table. You know, her identity is transcendent. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't fit in one easy box. Yay. You're welcome. I don't want to mess up your hair with a cuddle, but I wanted to.
Point of order, murder is a crime, and you guys murdered Chaz.
It's true. And paying off the cops is definitely a crime.
It's have done some crime,
But you're not a career
but not a career criminal.
True. And Chaz Price was a complete waste of space. So yeah.
Well, but I mean, but even to that point, your portrayal of Chaz, your portrayal of Alveus, you know, you have these like layered, multifaceted characters that are people of color because you are.
Yes.
You know, but it's they still get to be complete, complex human beings.
Yeah, actually, it does kind of take the pressure off of you to have a bunch of other people of color or queer people at the table, because you're like, oh God, if my significant other dies or something, it's okay because there are other queer relationships in the narrative. It's fine.
Well, it's funny you say that because my character Celise, I realized kind of partway through talking about everything, and after we did her backstory episodes, I fridged my wife. Ooh! And that's like her whole impetus and her oath of vengeance. But we've got Brandon, who like ran off and had some high elf wedding and a 3-day-long date with another dude. So
it's okay. There's another queer relationship.
Right.
You brought a spare?
Brandon's the spare. Yeah. But you know, but in creating Celise, I was very conscious of, well, one, we're a show of all people of color, but we're not out here like, look at us, we're so diverse. It's like, no, we all love the game, we're all playing, and our points show that anybody, because we're all at various skill levels. Some 2 cast members had never played before last year when we launched the show. There are people like me that have been playing since Redbox D&D. So, you know, it all depends on how people do things, and like before we get in the weeds, because I know we all could talk all day about this, is kind of how you've seen people respond to your various characters or the work you're doing. Because for me, last year Gen Con, I had someone write me a letter afterward, and it was very heartfelt, and I still cry about it, about seeing someone like them and not just talking about diversity, but being on panels and doing what we do, and finally seeing someone that is like them, that is not stuck in this mire of it sucks to be brown in this space. Because it can, but that's not all we're about. Our identity is not first and foremost what we're putting forward. We just want to be whole people. We want our characters to be whole people and not need a 20-page dissertation to acknowledge existing. And last year, I mean, I'm going to tell on myself, Mark, I did not realize you were a person of color. You said something.
I am a stealth person of color. Well, as mentioned, I am biracial. My dad is Indian, my mom is Irish. So yeah.
But how does that factor in when people go, oh, I had no idea? Because I was an idiot. I'm going to admit it.
Especially when they're like, you speak so properly. I get that. Like, I didn't know you were black. You speak so well.
Wait, hold on. Before you...
Hold on, comes on the phone.
Okay.
I mean, as many people who have a multi-ethnic background, I'm sometimes mistaken for other ethnicities, and sometimes it's people who are racist towards one particular ethnicity will say that and then go, "Oh, I thought you were." It's like, I'm still offended. Like, I'm still offended. So, yeah, it depends. And like sometimes I do feel the need to sort of like, let's just get that out there so that you don't embarrass yourself by saying something racist in front of me because you think I'm Italian or something. You know, like.
Well, and then also, I know as an actor too, you know, there's that problem too. What box do you fit in?
Sure.
Because you're like not white enough to be, you know, to be like like Caucasian American family, but also you're not like ethnic enough to be cast in something where, or like for me, like I have to use an accent a lot, because
Right.
I'm, not quite American, or I'm not
Yeah.
like Chinese enough or Japanese enough. Or,
Yes, I mean, and that's the
people
other thing.
like boxes.
And you don't necessarily want to be like, again, like I'll play Italian. It's like, do I have the right to play someone who's Italian? Well, like, I suppose I could pass for Italian, but do I want to be doing that? I mean, I have the advantage of
Those guys.
a lot of
we remember Rome.
a lot of the things I do, I'm creating my own work. Like it's stuff that I've written. I'm an improviser. I create, work for the stage and that sort of thing. And then also I work as a voice actor, where as a voice actor, you get cast in a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily be cast at on stage or on camera. And Commander Shepard, if we can use that example, that was an interesting example because the player could make Commander Shepard of any race they wanted to. So in some ways, to have a biracial actor portraying the voice, that gives you a little more spread. I mean, some people have talked to me about, players who are black who have said, or African American who have said, yeah, I made you an African American Shepherd, and your voice, I think your voice really fits my Shepherd well. So it's like, okay, well, that's an interesting way of approaching playing a role.
All right. Is great for that.
To loop back around on what B-Dave said about just not having one person of a certain identity, one person with a specific identity present, it comes back to the analogy of where you have candy and you have two bowls of candy, one has a lot, one has little. Taking from the one with little is a big change. But if you take from the one with a lot, then you don't notice that change. Mm-hmm. If it's 100, you take one out, you still have 99. If it's 5, you take out 1, you have 4 left. Mm-hmm. So it's about being able to have that variety where they're not set into one boxes. You have multiple people. You have people of just like different, sexuality, race. So it's bringing that different experience and point of view into things, where it's not just, hey, you have a black man, he's a rapper, gangbanger, all that. No, here's a black man, he's a father of 2, he's a carpenter or something. Oh, here's a black woman. She's not the angry black woman stereotype. Oh, she's I'm not gonna say nurse because that seems to be a stereotype at times too, in a lot of ways. But she's just like, maybe she's a teacher, or she's a writer. She can be a fully fleshed out person, and it's not to break a lot of the expectations, especially with people of color that's in the media. So it's like most people will come see a show. Well, look, here's that one black sassy friend. No, here's the boss maybe, or here's the best friend who's not sassy. They're just like kind of reserved, and it's letting people be people, and not just specific roles.
And if I could just say one quick thing, and you guys might have talked about this before I got here, a common thing also that comes up is people like, well, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Why do you think it shouldn't matter? I'm like, because
we can talk about that.
Every day of our lives it matters. Like, it always matters. And yes, I play plenty of characters that aren't black, especially because I DM. I'm men, women, female, orcs, goblins, I can wear many masks. But we should also still have the space where we can be proud of what we are in a fantasy way, because the world we occupy often tries to make us not proud of what we are.
Oh, definitely, and we can talk about that. I mean, Erica, did you have other thoughts about kind of how your identity, ethnicity kind of affects or plays into what you're doing? Because, I mean, you act, you do so many other things.
Like Mark, I think I'm very fortunate in that I get to create a lot of the characters that, or have the freedom to play whatever, because in voiceover, it doesn't matter as long as your voice fits the profile for it. I specifically have requested, and I love my agents for this, that they respect that I don't want to play Black or Latina or, different ethnicities that I'm not, just because I feel that until we get to the point where everybody's playing everybody, and for everybody that's saying, it shouldn't matter, whoever's voice fits is right, you say that, but then if you look at a lot of the casts of a lot of big shows, they still need to cast a little more diversely. But so until we get to that sort of post-racial society where anybody's playing anybody. I prefer to, play characters that I can physically play.
I would like to say outright though, if you get the right opportunity, get your money. You can tell. I'm here to tell you, get your money, Erica. Right. I told Erica.
For me too.
Yeah.
Like you didn't take this role. What?
Right. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I'm just saying.
But as far as like creating the roles that we want to see out in the world, like as you said, like creating Victor Temple or Solis or like any of the other, like I see so many of your improv characters that you create, and you're just such a chameleon. And it's really a special space and a special time that we do get to tell the stories that we want to see in the world. And that is something that we said, like we are able to craft these roles, and we aren't offered these roles. We're like, oh, clearly you don't know how to write for somebody that's different than you are. Because that has happened before, for sure, back in the days of sort of on-camera acting. It does inform me. I prefer to get to play characters that look like me, or date men and women. It's really freeing to get to tell these stories, to tell these well-rounded, interesting narratives that you don't get to see in mainstream media. And I think that tabletop does so much of that.
Yeah. And before we move on to what's actually in the notes, I want to really dig into this. It doesn't matter, because I get that pushback so much, or it's just a game. And here's the thing: yes, we're playing fantasy. There's elves, there's dragons, but people will accept an elf or a dragon before they will accept, oh, your character is black. Why is she a black paladin? Why does she exist? Or why is Brandon's character a black elf but not a drow? And our art is us, and for me, it's both a frustration, but it's kind of my red line where I'm like, for me and for other people that I know, I don't get that luxury. And like when people get mad about, oh, why do you have to be a black character in a video game, for instance? Like Mafia 3, you're playing a black dude who's mixed though, which I didn't realize part of the way, but dealing with people like that act like the world's gonna end because, oh my God, I have to be a black character for 40, 60 hours. But they can turn the console off, they can turn the PC off and go about their life. And the same with tabletop, because this is something we're all building together. It's collaborative, so my problem always comes to, you can believe in magic, you're fine with dragons, elves, orcs. The minute I say my character is a black human or a black elf that is not a drow or what have you, that's just a step too far. So I want to talk about that a bit. Erica's like physically expressing what's in my head.
Remembering Game of Thrones conversations.
I was thinking with Sandy and Grey Worm, and like the only brown people are slaves and savages. Yeah, no, I see you, George R.R. Martin. Yeah. But
let's dig into that, because it's frustrating that when you talk about that, and it's like, but you're pushing an agenda. It's really just, it's just a game. Why do you have to bring your politics into it?
Because the people that say that to you are bringing their politics into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean,
they just have different politics.
Yeah, I'll turn that around in a heartbeat.
It's like,
I've never thought to say that before, but that's true. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm very much of the school of thought. To play at your table how you want, man.
Right.
Like, your problematic gatekeeping nonsense. You know what? If you're at your house in your room with your friends, and that's how you guys want to get down, have at it.
Yeah, we will not come in and police your Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, but don't bring
who's
that
going to do that? Yeah.
It's when you step into the public, it's you're like, especially on the stream, you really have to think on that. Like, the conversation is the presence of people of color in the game, but my focus is, of course, behind the scene and just on all those levels of you have a stream, you have like 6 people, and somehow, even if you didn't actually I want 6 white people, it's 6 white people, and like you really have to consider, how did that come to be? How did it become, like, do I only know all white people? Do I know any other people of color, other people of marginalized identities? Do I know anybody who I could make this table open to them and invite them to see if they want to come in? Or is the environment of this table very exclusive and they don't feel like they can come in and play and enjoy the game with me? So you really have to think on the biases of how things got to the situation that they are. You really have to consider every step of Okay, I want to create a game. I want to start a stream. Let me invite my friends. Oh, it's all the same. We all look the same.
Right.
Why? What can I do to change that? How can I bring in more people so it's a more varied and a better game? And of course, like home games, yeah, that's cool. You know who you know. But when you're trying to be a media presence, you really have to consider what you're putting out there, what kind of message you're telling to people who watch it. If they see all white people, it's like it cements in their minds, oh, this game is for white people or a person of color, especially a lot of the people I've engaged with on Twitter, they talk about, yeah, I saw Ravage of Watery, and I'm like, I want to play this game now. I want to join. I can start my own stream. Or I've seen a lot of people talking to Erica about, oh, I saw this badass Asian lady. Now I know I can be a badass Asian lady.
Throwing trucks. Saw a badass Asian lady throwing trucks.
Yeah, seriously, back on that point, we get so many people saying oh, I'm gonna start this game because of seeing all of you guys, but I can't. I did my eye makeup this morning. I can't tell you how much it means to me to see people, see women or women of color or just anybody saying oh, I saw you do this thing and now I feel that I can do this thing. Because and it happens a lot, and it's not something that I ever thought was gonna happen. And it's just to know that me having fun with my friends and just loving the things that I love openly and honestly can let people know that it's okay and they can love things and do things, be open and honest about what they love. And that's so powerful. Oh, yeah. And so every time every one of us does some of these things, it's not just that we're having fun. We also in some ways set a standard
inspiring that people. Everybody belongs.
I hear that a lot lately too, especially now with this kind of renaissance. And honestly, I think there's two things. A lot of it really does go back to the Marvel movies, but a lot of it goes back to the people that grew up with these things are the ones that are now creating content. That it's okay to be a geek. It's no longer a badge of shame. I played D&D, but you kind of have to brush it off.
But just once a week.
Once a week, only on the weekends type thing. I read comic books, but whatever. Now you get to be no, I love this thing. And now that it's no longer something to be embarrassed about, I hear so many people saying, I wanted to, but I didn't know how. It's I didn't know who to ask.
Or I didn't see anyone like me.
Yeah.
And you still don't. I mean, LA by Night, Rivals, Sirens. I can't think of a lot of shows that are majority POC, and especially
there's not a lot.
What?
There's not a lot.
I mean, maybe not gets all 10 fingers. And I totally lost my thought because seeing Erica fight not to cry is making me cry. But I want to hear from Mark too, because I mean, you played so many characters. You do improv, you do comedy. And then for people, when they do realize that you're a person of color, does that kind of change how they respond to you? Or how they're oh, I didn't realize, and this means a lot more now that I know that, or maybe if they're mixed as well?
I mean, I have encountered fans sometimes, fans who are Indian, who didn't necessarily know that I was, and when they find out, they their eyes light up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were Indian. It's yes, my dad's Indian. My dad's not from India; he's from South Africa, and went to Ireland. Then they both moved to Canada, and it's a very complex, very complex.
Citizen of the world.
I've got a map here with some string.
A gritty backstory.
Yeah, exactly. I really worked hard on my backstory, But yes, because again, people like to see themselves represented. Going back to what I was saying earlier about how when I was a kid, of course, there were, you didn't see a lot of Indian characters on say sci-fi shows or any show, and so in a way, almost any person of color that I saw was sort of my stand-in, or just you think about today, again talking about biracial characters. In the same year, we got Jason Momoa playing Aquaman, and we got Miles Morales up on screen. In what was probably my favorite movie of the year. Into the Spider-Verse was fantastic.
It was amazing.
And just the way that opened up the entire, because not only did you have Miles Morales in that movie, but you also had Spider and with Penny Parker, and you had Spider-Gwen, and And you also had Nicolas Cage. You get
Nicolas Cage too. One of everything.
So,
A Nicolas Cage.
So yeah, that really is what we crave. We want to see some representation of ourselves. We want to, and people have talked about that's the reason why Spider-Man was such a popular hero, because his costume covered every inch of him. Everybody could imagine that they were Spider-Man, and now everyone could imagine that they're Spider-Gwen, and that I think really is an important factor, not only for people enjoying it, but also to feel like they're included in pop culture, that they're included in the geek universe.
But and to what you were saying earlier, to piggyback off what everybody was saying, a lot of times the default of people of color in these narratives, is the noble savage. It is Grey Worm. It is Missandei. Even though I rep Grey Worm, I mean, it's like that's why I quit watching Star Trek Discovery. The portrayal of the Klingons, it's one step shy of blackface. Especially when I knew they were white actors, which didn't bother me in and of itself, because Lursa and B'Etor, Martok, Galron, they were all white actors. Like I've been, and they were all fantastic Klingons. But when their noses are so big, and their lips are so big, and their skin is so dark, and they're all like, "We are the Klingons," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, man!" Come on, man.
I'm so glad I didn't
think of that.
that.
That's why you need people like representation at the table, because the rest of us have to show we're something other than that. And even with Worf's character, which again, shout out Gene Roddenberry, it still was essentially his evolution from barely housebroken pets to fully realized character. Eventually, by the end of Deep Space Nine, Worf was as valid as anybody else.
And in some ways, Worf, it was like, Worf could be on a Federation starship because he had white Russian parents, step-parents,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was acceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He could
I didn't
pass.
know the Klingons were no.
You just ruined Star Trek.
Ruined Star Trek for everything.
I mean,
No, but you know what? I'd rather be forewarned than pay money. And then pay money to be insulted?
Hey, it's to everyone's taste. I'm sure there's black people that didn't bother at all, but I mean, I love Star
What?
Trek.
We're not all alike, Dave?
I know.
We're not a monolith? And to give them credit, the cast, the human cast is very diverse as well.
Yeah, and your lead is a female of African American descent.
Black female.
But it's still, we're not going to tell you like the Klingons. We're not going to try to tell you.
I've been told they got better in the second season, but I don't care. But I didn't want to derail into Star Trek, but I just want to say, that's a huge multi-million-dollar production that at no point did anybody be like,
Yeah, it's that continued idea of, the media, while it doesn't fully, you're not going to make somebody into something, but it reinforces ideas, stereotypes, tropes. And so when you make a media item, you got to really think on what that message you're saying, you're sending. You have a varied cast of not just, people of color, people of different identities, sexualities. Then that reinforces to the people watching that, hey, yeah, you can come join us. I mean, it's not everyone. There's various problematic representation, but it's the idea of people seeing whatever various roles they can fill and they can become. So, there's an article written by Michelle Wen a couple days ago about different, for Asian Heritage Month, and it's just like talking about not seeing themselves. One person he talked about seeing Sulu on Star Trek, and he felt like, holy crap, this guy, he flies the ship. Instead of, other problematic representation of Asian people back then. It was like, I don't have to just do martial arts or something. I can fly a goddamn Enterprise. It's like telling yourself you can reach anything that you want to do instead of being like set into a box or a stereotype that society kind of reinforces too often.
And I think coming back around to the idea of diversity versus inclusion is that if you have all those different voices at the table, in the writer's room, directing, on the cast, it becomes sort of second nature to be able to tell these sort of well-rounded stories And at no point is it necessary for like the one person in the room to be like, because it's not only is sometimes you don't catch it, but also it's a burden. You don't want to have to ever be that person that's like, well, actually, it's difficult to speak up.
Remember, we did a live show recently where somebody inadvertently used an ethnic slur. I won't repeat it, and they really didn't know.
But they didn't know.
They didn't know.
So,
they really didn't know. But they said it, and immediately I was like, nope, we're not doing that. Like full stop right now. I was like, that's not a thing.
So, but I mean, if you hadn't been there, that might have just.
I'll admit I'm very curious now, and I'll ask you after.
I'll tell you later.
Once the cameras are off, we'll talk about it.
I mean, it wasn't an N-bomb. It wasn't. But it was a very loaded term.
It was like an anti-racism.
No, let's not even.
But I will say this though, to your Asian representation, and I want to ask you about this. I don't know. So I'm writing a series right now called Salvage Marines, a TV series, and Peter Shinkoda is one of the leads. He played Nobu in Daredevil. And we were talking about some of his concerns because I sort of like talked to the cast. I was like, where would you like your character to go? And he was like, as an Asian man, they always do something to mess up our faces, and we never get romantic relationships. And like when he pointed that out to me, and sure enough, in that book, his face gets jacked up. And one of the things we did was make sure his face gets fixed. I never noticed. Like we Googled it.
I never noticed that.
No, they've always got scars or a helmet or a mask or it was right. And I had no idea. And so I made a point that I'm like, one, we're gonna fix your face. Two, you get to have like an overt romantic scene. And I was like, I wrote a love scene for him. And he was amazed. He was like, I don't get to have this. He's like, you don't understand that I don't get to have this. And I'm like, no, dude, search databanks.
You're like, wait a minute.
Search found 0.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Like, wait a second.
And I mean, and I like to consider myself relatively woke, and I hadn't clocked that at all. It took one of those, the person in that position, to be like, did you notice blah? And I'm like,
yeah, it comes back to those biases that like anybody is susceptible to, whatever. And it's like society tells you, hey, this person or this type of person, they fit into this role, and you kind of take it in, and then you don't notice that you're kind of perpetuating that constant cycle. So it takes a lot of the people who are part of that identity who notice it and want to break out to mention it. But then when you're like, as the only one there, you're like, do I want to bring it up and cause an impossible issue? How open are they? Do I know who I have to back me up on this? So it's like they always have to do the math, basically, of how much of an issue bringing this issue up will it be, especially if it's like, I'm the only person of color at the table, or I'm the only black man, or I'm the only person of this sexuality. And so it's like you're just kind of wondering, is it worth it to bring up that this is a major issue that might maybe like lead down to issues down the line?
I mean, it's worth it. I mean, it's what I do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I wanted to talk quickly because because I knew we're all chatting, we've all got good things to say, so we're almost getting to time. But I want to talk quickly about how we all think inclusion makes the space better, because D&D and tabletop's in a big renaissance. I mean, Mark and I and Dave might remember like when it was kind of dying out and people didn't know if it would still be around. And now look at this event, look at last year, look at the fact that all of us make our living off make-believe.
I wasn't sure it was going to survive the Satanic Panic. Like I was playing then, like early mid-'80s, and it was like, oh, it might be going away, it might be going away.
Exactly.
It's right. But I think that, the best way to make sure that lots of people are going to want to play is to set a big table, have a big tent, have everybody be able to come in and enjoy themselves. And we're seeing it more and more. I think like Wizards has done a really good job, I think, of addressing issues, as you mentioned earlier, and realizing that there wasn't necessarily malice behind any decisions that were made in the past, but you can still correct things. There's room for improvement, and there's always room for improvement.
Impact over intent, always. So, I mean, for me, it's like you get so many varied stories, especially since D&D has been very Eurocentric. So the idea of bringing in, especially more people of color, where you get different ideas and sources for stories that are closer represented by the people who from that culture. Like, I'm Haitian, so I'd love to see more Haitian themed stuff in the game, or more better representation of Asian cultures, which are so varied. More even just in Black America. In America, it's very varied, where you have Southern, Northern, Western, all that, where it's different stories from different sources and represented and told by people from those sources who know it, who've lived it. So any problematic aspects they may show up, but it's harm reduction, and you get so many new stuff. You get stuff that a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want something new. But then when it is new from people of color and all that, they're like, I don't want it.
I mean, I think this whole panel did a very good job of showing why inclusion just makes stories better, just makes it better for everybody, all the other nerds, because that's the thing too about gatekeeping, to diverge real quick for a second, is that, I understand feeling like, oh, this was my special thing. I have, been through the fire because of this. I got picked on, and I get that. But know that there are a lot of other people that had that too, and that they also didn't have the benefit of seeing people that look like them, in the books or in the comics or on the screens, and so now they get that too. And so of course you should want more people. Back in the day, I would have killed to have more people play D&D with me. And so now we have that. And now we have to sort of be the guardians of that and make sure that everybody gets that. We have to speak up and say, you belong at this table. We should, I think a lot of our community does a very good job of pointing out when things are wrong, but I'd love to see them point out when things are going well, when things are right, to highlight, and to also the people who are in charge of casting. I give so much credit to so many folks for LA by Night was cast so diversely. They didn't have to do that, but they did. There's another, I don't know if I can say who it is, because I think you talked to them before too, but there's another company that does tabletop that they made sure to cast diversely, but then also they reached out to people of color to make sure that their campaign was going to be that they
they deserve recognition.
Okay,
College humor.
Yes.
They worked it out.
Brennan Lee Mulligan took the time to reach out to people of color in the tabletop community to make sure that his campaign, which was set in sort of modern day New York, would be diverse, but played correctly, which was also cast diversely, but he wanted the NPCs to be diverse but sensitive, and then he made sure to pay everybody as consultants. So that is something I'd love to see more of that. To see companies.
Disclosure: I was one of those consultants.
Yes, I was too. Yeah, right. So that's why I was like, they deserve that boost.
No, not us.
We're going to get you on the next one. I would like to just say one thing, because I know we are short on time. I mean, I hate that I have to say this outright, but I'm going to say it outright.
You hate to say something?
Yeah, this is not very
okay.
Just say it.
That's not true at all. We don't have anything against white males, man. I mean, we're surrounded by them literally right now.
Some of my best friends are white.
Literally, some of my.
So, Dave, you're going to manage my Twitter after this panel.
No,
right?
come at me. I don't care. Yeah. So, but
I don't think any of this is about bashing.
No. Well, but we always have to issue the disclaimer. And but again, there's room for everybody. That's what we're after. Again, at your table, you run your game, but there's room for all of us get to play, including you, including us, including everybody. Heal the world.
Yeah. The idea isn't less white males, but more people of color.
Exactly.
More people, more marginalized people that you don't see.
Exactly.
Especially in these days with so many streams. If you go on Twitch, D&D front page.
Oh, just say the front page. I'm gonna say it.
It's just that's just outside D&D, but it's just it's white people all across, and I'm like, that's cool. They may play some cool games, but at the same time, I kind of want to see more games of people who look like me.
Yes, right.
I kind of want to see people who look like me, or not even just look like me, but a lot of my friends and other people who I know. I want to see them represented and played both in front of the camera, behind the camera, in all levels, where they can feel they want to join the game. So it's not. It's not that I don't want to see less white people in the game, but I just want to see
more of us,
especially since
more
it's not
representation.
yeah,
it's not a finite resource.
A finite resource, yes. Thank you.
It's space for everybody. So it's just who are you highlighting in that space?
So to wrap it up before we all say who we are and where folks can find us, inclusion is not saying let's get rid of the white dudes. It is seeing more of us to the point where it's not a special thing, where it's not something to get pointed out. Like, oh my God, the show is all brown people. I never see it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, hey, here's Rivals amongst the 20 other shows that are mostly people of color, or all people of color. Mm-hmm. So we have 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. Everyone, who are you? Where can people find you? And where will you be the rest of this weekend?
Starting with me?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Mark Meir. You can find me on Twitter at Mark_Meir, Instagram at Mr. MR Mark Meir. I'm basically here repping Beamdog, who is putting out all the classic games, Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate Siege of Dragonspear, Planescape Torment, Neverwinter Nights, on all the new platforms, so Switch, etc., through partnership with Skybound Games. And that's what I'm doing here. I'll be playing this guy, Alveus Malcantor, another character as well, and I will be appearing on the Uncommon Trust game, guesting tomorrow on Sunday morning, and mostly just hanging out and talking about D&D and nerding it out.
I'm Carl Pierre Lewis. I run the POC and TTRPGs at POC D&D. I just talk about a lot of stuff. I blog. I have a few projects that I'm kind of looking to work on, get started this weekend with people. I'm not on anything else on stream, but hopefully I get to talk with especially these people here and a lot of other awesome people this weekend that I'll be hopefully releasing after I get home.
I'm Erica Ishii. You can find me at Erica Ishii on Twitter, at the Erica Ishii on Instagram. Escape from the Blood Keep is on College Humor Dropout right now. It's super fun. My friends Yefine Wadaway, Namer Paul, and Matt Mercer are all in it with me. You can catch me on June 1st in LA by night. Also, the newest expansion of Fallout 76 has a couple of my voices in it, so look out for that.
And later today.
Yeah, and this weekend, stick here at 2:30 on this channel. I'm going to be guesting with Rivals of Waterdeep.
I'm going to be back there cheering them on. Well, back wherever. Yeah.
B. Dave Walters. I'm at B. Dave Walters. Like I said, I write Dungeons and Dragons and Dark and Wish. Buy it at your local comic shop if you can find it, because it sells out very quickly. Issue 2 should be out soon. I'll be playing on the main stage tonight at 7:30 with Mercer, Jim Zup, Anna Proser, Deborah Ann Wall, and somebody I'm forgetting, and also me. Perkins is going to DM. And tomorrow morning, DMing 8:30 Pacific, bright and early on Channel 4, DMing the Uncommon Trust with Mark Meir. And more than anything, I do want to say, vote with your wallet. When you see something good, buy it, support it. That's how more things will get made.
And I've been your host and moderator, Tanya DePass. I'm on Rivals of Waterdeep as your human paladin, Lisa Storio. Today, 2:30 p.m., we're actually on D&D Live 1. And I'll be roaming around, and we're doing a signing tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., sharing the space with our friends at Tales of the Mist. So thank you, everyone. This has been amazing. I love all of you, and I'm not being that, I love you, man. Like, I really, really do. Thank you so much. And stick around. We'll be back on D&D Live 3.
Woo! Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
We did it.